us this opportunity. I'm sure you understand that we are moving along with technology. What is in front of us is called AutoCue, Honorable Simanga. So that is why I'm sure it will take some time just to arrive in your destination. And the ANC is at that point in time. Let us greet the Honorable Speaker, Makhubela, Honorable Deputy Speaker, Mvelase, the Premier of our province, Ms. Nomusa Dube-Ncube Zwakele, the honorable members of the executive, the deputy chair of the ANC in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Makhutshwa. Thank you so much with your entire officials, honorable members of the House, representative of all social partners formation, members of the diplomatic corps, your worship, the mayor of Mkungundlovu and Msunduzi, the traditional leadership present, Undabezithu Nkosi Sithole, Gabatela, members of the religious group, present, my Apostle Kwela Mkapazi, Siyabingelela Apostle Habile, the leadership of our province, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Chairperson, thank you so much for affording us this opportunity. In one of his often quoted composition, Frantz Fanon, the social philosopher and the political radical and the gigantic of Africa, wrote about the national liberation of colonial people and said at some point in time, sometimes people hold a core belief that is very strong, and when they are presented with evidence that works against that belief, the new evidence cannot be accepted. It will create a feeling that is extremely uncomfortable, called cognitive dissonance. And because it is also important to protect the core belief, usually they will rationalize, ignore, and even deny anything that does not fit in within that core belief. I'm sure we are at that level epocally as we present this as the state. Honorable Speaker, it is an honor and a privilege to present 23-24 budget vote for the KwaZulu-Natal Development of Economic, Tourism and Environmental Affairs. On the 9th of February 2023, in his State of the Nation address, His Excellency President Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa reminded that we are not a nation defined by the various resources and endowments that decorate our geographical boundaries, the minerals beneath us, the oceans that form our sense of sanctuary, nor the multiple official languages that epitomize our diversity. Rather, we are defined by hope and resilience. Indeed, it is the same hope that obtained our province when a myriad of exogenous shocks descended on our living, a trail indelible marks of a pain and toward suffering amongst our people. And the Premier has already alluded some of those facts this morning. The same hope galvanized our arsenal just over 3 years ago when the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic profoundly changed the global economy at large. The same hope, ladies and gentlemen, soldiers us on a year later when our province was hit by a wave of social unrest characterized by looting, the wanton destruction of economic infrastructure and private property. Madam Speaker, yet again, the same hope and the resilience saw us raising above the ravaging floods that destroyed our infrastructure, leaving many hopeless and homeless, and many parts of the province inaccessible in 2020. Fortunately enough, this government has resolved some of those things. What pains us most is that more 400 lives were lost. Indeed, hope and resilience saw us through the painful triple tragedies that occurred in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. However, hope alone cannot take us any further, as the President aptly wrapped up the national address by declaring that the people of South Africa want action, they want solutions, and they want the government to work for them. We therefore say to all our social partners, what others may see the severe drought in front of them, we need to see the opportunities that are waiting to be tapped. While others may see a disaster that is befalling them, we need to see an ocean of opportunities that need to be converted, building new prosperous nation. Ours is therefore to build an economy that creates opportunities for all, to make them work for us. Chairperson, one of the fundamental truths of our existence is that the challenges that bring the fair share, hardship, and difficulties also empower us with lessons that serve of us our guiding light for the future. Since the evolution of human beings, our ability to change a negative into positive has remained a tribute to the resilience of human spirit. The current global economic contradiction and its attendant repercussion is a perfect example of a situation that calls to the fore our creative and resilience negotiation towards our sport to border. Madam Speaker, on the 24th of February, the Premier of our province, Honorable Nomsa Dube Ncube, presented her SOPA, which was themed taking decisive action in terms of renewal hope as we build a better, prosperous and resilient KwaZulu-Natal. The Premier several outlines bold and decisive actions that will drive the province back to a long-term stable path. Chairperson today will present a people's budget, a budget that responds to the various issues of our province and have repeatedly raised frequently consultative engagement meetings across the province. Key among other issues raised include the acceleration of job opportunity creation to address the plight of our youth, the provision of support to small enterprises that anchor the provincial economy, development of infrastructure that improves the global competitiveness of local producers, tackling barriers through the growth that unlock further investment, widen export market for local manufacturing goods, promote air connectivity to KZN trade creation, development of efficient regional airports that supports domestic tourism, promotion of innovation of increased international competitiveness of local enterprise. In conclusion, we'll also deal with the issue of rationalization of public entities to optimize limited fiscal resources. We will also deal with rollout of automated licensing and permitting system to encourage business compliance, support informal township and rural-based enterprises, which is critical and is going to address some of the imbalances that has been taking place for quite some time in the beloved country called South Africa and the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Madam Speaker, the global economic outlook continues to be weighed down by elevated inflationary pressures, tightening global financial conditions associated with high interest rate hikes by most central banks and the negative spillover effects from the geopolitical tensions. We must also just highlight that in January 2023, the World Economic Outlook, the IMF, projects global growth to slow down from 3.4% in 2022 to 2.9% in 2023, then rise to 3.1% in the 2024. The rise in central bank rates to fight inflation and Russia's war in Ukraine weigh on economic activities. The growth for advanced economic is projected to decline sharply from 2.7 in 2022 to 1.2 in 2023, before rising to 1.4 in the year 2024. About 90% of advanced economies are projected to see a decline in the growth in 2023. And developing economies' growth is projected to rise modestly from 3.9 in 2022 to 4% in 2023, and the year 2024 on 4.2%. About half of emerging markets and developing economies have projected lower growth in 2023 than in 2022. For the sub-Saharan region, growth is projected to remain moderate at 3.8% in 2023 amid prolonged fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic. Although with a modest upward revision since October before picking up to 4.1 in 2024, on 7 March 2023, State SA reported that South Africa's real GDP increased by only 2% in 2022, following an increase of 4.9% in 2021. I'm sure these numbers are critical just for us to comprehend the reality of the growth projected and the pattern. Growth is projected to decline to 1.2 in 2023, reflecting weaker external demand, debilitating power shortages and structural constraints. External shocks such as global geopolitical factors and low global demand continue to underpin the low growth trajectory in the country. The Reserve Bank has lifted rates by a cumulative 425 basis points since November 2021, after it slashed the repo rate to 3.5 in the wake of economic onslaught. As a result, the repo rate is now on 125 basis points higher than it was before the pandemic. Higher interest rates will throw cold water on the country's low economic growth Honorable Chairperson, the constrained economic growth landscape continues to hamper the job creation potential of the country, whilst accelerating the levels of inequality and poverty. The unemployment rate in South Africa currently stands at 30.6%, as articulated in the fourth quarter report by State SA. In the province of KwaZulu-Natal, economy grew by 2.7 in 2022 and is expected to grow by 1.7 in 2023. The provincial unemployment rates emerged slightly higher than the national rate, which is 32.7, with the province expanded unemployment remaining of the highest at 46%. As more and more people get discouraged in their search for employment opportunities, we are designing some new key deliverables. Honorable Chairperson, Maritime University, Madam Speaker, as the province continues to leverage on its natural capital, it became clear that we need to supplement our skills to take advantage of our marine resources. We've got a coast with line of close to 600 kilometers. The maritime industry presents enormous opportunities for KwaZulu-Natal. Following the positive outcome of the feasible study, established a maritime university in Uko district. I'm sure you might have seen, Honorable Chairperson, that we all have all our CEOs present in the gallery, just to be creating and highlighting what is to be done in the province of KwaZulu-Natal as a form of solution. The department will develop a business plan in consultation with other organs of state, such as the Department of Higher Education, Science and Innovation, outlining the process of establishing the university. The concept of developing maritime university in the province of KwaZulu-Natal is supported by a review of a number of national, international models, such as Antwerp, Rotterdam, and Singapore, for achieving a reputation for excellence in maritime education, training, and research. I'm sure we all agree that now is the time. Let us utilize the strength of our beautiful ocean. In such cases, a major port city becomes home to a number of respected education, training, research institutions, which for the most part are complementary to one another and which receive support from education, government, and private sector, which makes steady progress over time, the number of quality of offerings. KZN Public Works Fund as well, ladies and gentlemen, the triple challenges that befell the province, starting with COVID-19, social unrest, and floods, gave us a glaring indication that the province needs to put in place contingency funds to fall back of when such unexpected shocks arise, although we are praying that it is not going to take place in the near future. Honorable Chair, an even more compelling impact is that the province, like the rest of the country, is often confronted with fiscal shortfalls, affecting the scale and the speed of rolling out development projects to recover from unexpected shocks. We must also highlight and heighten the tempo that the issue of cannabis is here to stay, and our people must turn from that process and must also tap at the same time. I'm here to report that Moses Kotane Institute has developed a master plan which outlines key responsibility for organs of state as part of developing the cannabis industry. The department recognizes the potential of the cannabis and hemp sector in driving provincial economic growth and development plan in a radical, transformed, and inclusive manner. As part of this, Honorable Chairperson, it's the commitment growing this sector. The department has set aside an amount of 5 million for the 23-24, just to be specific and just to target Africans who have suffered for quite some time, who've been living, utilizing these things. Now it is legal, they must benefit from the process. This will be realized through cannabis and hemp commercialization program, which the department has adopted, aimed at stimulating investment by the KZN public sector and further attracting more investment towards growth beneficiation of the cannabis enterprise. It is 8 years considering view that this sector will be a catalyst in providing economic stability, job creation, poverty eradication, and improved health for the KZN citizen. Honorable Chairperson, KZN Public Wealth Fund minimized the colossal effect of possible future economic shocks. Let us also highlight the issue of green economy. The Donnybrook biomass plant is another project partly supported by ATIA with an amount of 2 billion. The project is already operational. This project will be opening during the current financial year. The project sponsors will be opening similar plants in the whole province, and this will create more jobs and reduce poverty levels in our communities. An amount of 7 million was invested to acquire the property, whilst an amount of 30 million has been invested in plant and machinery of this project. The department contributed 2 million, Honorable Chairperson Speaker, for the refurbishment of the property. During the construction phase, 20 jobs were created and 12 full-time jobs were created at the same time. At full capacity, the plan will create 45 new fresh employment opportunities. Additional 60 jobs will be created by SMMEs that will benefit from the ecosystem at a full capacity to meet a demand of 30 times per day. On the issue of job opportunity, unemployment remains a colossal challenge that has occupied the attention of this government and shall remain so until our people have access to sustainable livelihood. As a result, Honorable Speaker, creating opportunities for growth, employment generation remains the forefront of the KZN government policy. This has been priority since the term of office of this government started in 2019. It shall remain so until our people have been freed from the shackles of poverty. On the issue of air connectivity, Madam Speaker, air connectivity is a critical driver of growth through trade, facilitation, and tourist movement, and the province of KwaZulu-Natal survives mostly on tourism, which attracts on the more investors. The department leads a multi-stakeholder provincial forum dedicated to coordinating and promoting international and domestic air service at King Shaka International Airport. King Shaka International Airport now provides facilitating the following connections. I'm sure you might have heard that on a regular basis, 7 direct flights a week to Dubai on Fly Emirates. We've got 5 direct flights a week to Doha on Qatar Airlines. We've got 2 flights a week to Istanbul on Turkish Airlines via Johannesburg. We've got a direct flight to Harare, which has been recently linked on Fly Airlink, and recently a bi-weekly to Lusaka, Zambia, which is the Pro Flight. Skills development, Madam Speaker, the need for a skilled workforce to drive the human resource needs to our province can never be overemphasized. As ATA in partnership with University of KwaZulu-Natal is forging ahead with developing learning programs under the Erythropolis Institute of Africa to support development of the Durban Erythropolis, which is Durban Trade Port SEZ. Thus far, UKZN approved and implemented a range of short courses related to route developmental smart cities. I'm sure we're supposed to be giving a round of applause to UKZN for affording the opportunities to our kids in the province. For 2019 to 2022, a total of 165 professionals successfully completed these courses. The university has introduced 5 Erythropolis modules at postgraduate diploma level, and at least 62 students have been enrolled in these programs. In 23-24, UKZN will finalize the development and accreditation of flagship Erythropolis program in the form of Masters in Management of Airport, Cities, and Erythropolis. To support the development of aeronautical engineering skills, an amount of 1.5 million is allocated towards bursaries for KwaZulu-Natal students enrolled in aeronautical engineering programs at the University of Pretoria and Wits. Furthermore, the department supported 67 masters and 43 doctoral research candidates through bursaries administered by Moses Kotane Institute. We continue, Madam Speaker. Innovation is key to unlocking long-term growth for our manufacturers and improving the internal competitiveness of our producers. To bridge the gap between innovation and commercialization, the department worked with MKI under a program called Commercializing Innovations and Research, CIR. The program funded 6 innovations driven by youth in the province in areas of food safety, environment and waste management, robotics, education, health, medical diagnostic, alternative energy, entertainment, and e-commerce, among others, in 2023. 2 million has been set aside towards developing more innovations that address the province's social challenges. The digital centers remain catalytic for economic development in rural areas where youth entrepreneurs and innovators often lack access to digital infrastructure and internet connectivity. I'm sure fangabajabula abantu abaqhamuke endaweni ezisemakhaya koMzumbe, koNongoma, koHlabisa ukuthi nabo sebezosizakala bakwazi ukungena kubuxhakaxhaka betechnology. School learners also use these centers for assignment, research, and applications, while entrepreneurs use the centers for business-related activities. Following the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, the province has set up digital centers in the following areas: the Kokstad, Bergville, Langalbalele, Mandeni, Umdoni, Dube City, Jozini, and Umfolozi. For the year 23, a total 4.2 million has been assigned to finalize the construction of 4 digital centers located in these following areas: Richmond, Ndwedwe, Herikwala, and Pofana. These centers will each provide employment opportunities for 2 local graduates who are currently unemployed out of these 16,000 graduates that we have in the province and possesses IT-related qualification. As we endeavor to attract investment into the province, need to step up the development of bulk infrastructure at DTP and Richards Bay ITZ, both of which play a critical role in attracting and increasing spending infrastructure. Over the last financial year, Dube Trade Port opened Trade 2 zone, making available developed land for easy to investors and manufacturers. 2 private investors, Synergy Blenders and LM Diapers, began construction for operational plants by July 22 last year, and we were there with the Premier. Construction of 2 warehouses at the circumference or at the dimension of 5,000 square meter and 12,000 square meter respectively is due to commence in the first half of 23-24. These warehouses are intended to provide completed industrial building space in Trade Zone 2 for lease to private sector manufacturers who are looking to lease completed facilities rather than build their own. On the other hand, the Richards Bay ITZ intends to acquire Phase 1D to house 2 high-value projects in the form of Eskom gas power plant with an estimated investment value of 72 billion and isizinda smelter for melter beneficiation. Infrastructure development, the department fully recognizes the role of infrastructure in driving economic development. Consequently, a lot of infrastructure projects have received substantial budget allocation for the year 2023. In Dumo Retail, the Premier has already spoken about it, which is going to be at the value of 150 million. Will receive 18 million in this financial year in funding. Speaker, despite facing several structural obstacles that cause delays, I'm pleased to inform you that construction is projected to begin this year in August 2023. Durban Waterfront, as part of growing tourism in the province, the department is entering into a 4-way memorandum of agreement with eThekwini Municipality, Transnet, and IDFC to formulate, design, and implement the Durban Waterfront Precinct. The Durban Waterfront Precinct will be a modern precinct comprising mixed-use hotels and other iconic building structures. KZN Regional Airports, the rationale of provincial government to provide support and develop several regional airports is both for disaster management exercise as well as for potential economic beneficiation for regional tourism, cargo potential at the same time. These airports cannot be viewed in isolation, and their economic impact extends beyond the airport's boundary. In other words, regional airports act as an enabler for business and tourism to be conducted. However, when significant infrastructure projects are identified at airports, a number of sustainability and non-aviation related projects are also considered, making the running of these airports more visible and viable at the same time, and sustainability is required. For fiscal year 2023-24, the department has designated 7 million towards the enhancements of operationalization and efficiency improvement of KZN Regional Airport, specifically for Pietermaritzburg, Oribi, for Margate, Ulundi, and Mkuze airports. These infrastructure upgrades will create 40 job opportunities. Properties, capital investment. Itala Development Finance Corporation has started the rebuilding of 4 factories in Madadeni Industrial Estate, Nongoma Shopping Center, and Eshowe Shopping Center, which were severely impacted during 2021 riots. The rebuilding of the remaining affected properties will commence in the current financial year. Interventions on cyber security, I'm sure you know, have been grey listed by international platforms as a result of us being poor when it comes to cyber security. Over the past few years, our country has faced persistent and increasingly sophisticated malicious cyber attacks that have threatened the critical infrastructure and arteries of our society and economy, and ultimately our people's security and privacy. It is in that light that we must initiate and enforce efforts to identify, deter, protect against, detect, and respond to these actions and actors. The department must carefully examine what occurred during any major cyber incident nationwide and apply lessons learned. This cybersecurity fortification regime will require more than government action. Protecting our critical infrastructure from malicious cyber actors requires all of us to partner with expertise to private sector. The department must adapt to the continuously changing threat environment and ensure its ICT infrastructure and systems operate securely. To the end, we need to make bold changes and significant investment in order to defend these vital institutions that underpins the way of life for the people of our province. The department must bring to bear the full scope of its authorities and resources to protect and secure its computer systems, whether they are cloud-based, on-premises or hybrid. Banks, government entities, hospitals, sensitive database, water utilities and port authorities must all be prioritized in the effort to fortify the province infrastructure and security. Honorable Chairperson, investment, both domestic and foreign, is key to addressing the colossal challenge of employment that currently confronts us as a province. To the end, the province government has stepped up efforts to attract both foreign direct investment and direct domestic investment into our priority sectors of the economy. In 2022, the total rand value of investment in the province of KwaZulu-Natal amounted to over 4.9 billion, creating over 4,258 jobs. These investments were facilitated and committed by TIC and all other Richards Bay, ITZ, Dubai Trade Port, and other entities of our government. We are pleased to announce that through vigorous investment campaigns, the following major investment have been signed off in the province during the 2022 budget year. CMT Global is a textile and apparel manufacturing company located in Ezakeni, Ladysmith. They are the largest vertical integrated textile manufacturing plant in the sub-Saharan region. The investment is worth 390 million and will create 1,650 jobs which are new in the market. Sinos Africa's Gas, a project that entails manufacturing of food-grade carbon dioxide for the beverage sector, located in Newcastle. The project is valued at 56 million, and it will create 50 jobs. Zulami Estate, which is located in Luxury Coastal Estate around Guatuguza area at Elembe, the project is valued at 320 million and will create 150 jobs which are new. An investment project worth 38 million has been initiated by Nyazentle Holdings Pty, a black-owned farming business headquartered in Newcastle. The project aims at empowering black farmers in and around Newcastle by enabling the access to market through cattle rearing and providing feed for the feedlots owned by Nyazentle Holdings. The implementation of this project will generate 40 employment opportunities. Around the Escort area, we've created an intermodal terminal, entails the development of logistic park and an intermodal terminal at the old Masonite Everwood site in Escort. The project is valued at 1.2 billion with an estimated value of 1,000 jobs to be created. We have Dusi Forest Engineers, is a plywood and veneer manufacturing project based at Ngome under Abaqulusi local municipality in Zululand district. The investment value for this project is estimated at 104 million, and at full operation, the project will create new 250 jobs. The Serenity Hills Eco Estate, residential security estate, which is located at the market. The estate is built on the premise of conscious and sustainable living with solar-ready houses, rain and storm water harvesting, as well as modern living. The development is valued, or includes 15 to 20 beds. It is also valued at 800 million and will create new 1,000 jobs. His Worship, the mayors who are present will be glad to see that what we are dealing mostly on the significant role that export play in advancing economic development in our province. As such, we have been actively engaged in promoting the export of KZN products to various destinations in Africa and around the globe. Emerging Exporters Program. During the previous fiscal year, the Emerging Exporters Program capacitated a total of 41 emerging exporters to improve their readiness for exporting. This effort resulted in an additional 37 million in increasing turnover through the export and the creation of 248 employment opportunities. Exporter Competitiveness Program. The department has been implementing an exporter competitive program that looks at improving the productivity and competitiveness of enterprise through improved value chain efficiencies and improved industrial competitiveness. Since its inception, the program supported 58 participating companies in the province with a combined turnover of 1.2 billion. Expansion into other markets. In order to KZN to grow, we need a footprint in various countries. We need to facilitate the participation of local companies in trade missions into Africa. A total of 148 companies from KZN participated in the exhibition events held in Ghana, Angola, Tanzania, Mozambique, and Algeria. Notwithstanding our reach into the continent, it is equally important that we nurture our relationship with our traditional markets. We have continued to facilitate the exposure of our companies through the trade events in traditional markets, namely the UK, the USA, Germany, Italy, China. The 10th KZN Export Week has executed successful in December 2022. This annual event has highlighted the significance of export in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. I'm sure we are glad that we are just pronouncing and announcing these critical modems which are thus going to assist the government at this point in time in terms of agriculture, transportation, infrastructure development, construction of clinics, hospitals, and schools, as well as the supply of food consumed in institutions such as schools, hospitals, and prisons. The approach is crucial in promoting equitable ownership and control of economy, creating employment opportunities, and redistributing wealth. In the year 2022, the department provided support to various enterprises operating in key. The Operation Vula, the chairperson, the commodities including detergents, the cleaning chemicals, clothing, textile, bakeries, pulp and paper. About 398 small enterprises received business support through training, mentorship, marketing and exhibitions, and business advisor. About 40 small enterprises were assisted to showcase their products at various exhibitions. I'm sure both honorable member Mhlonishwa Ugumede and Mhlonishwa Ucale will be happy of what transpired in their constituency at KwaMashu, that currently that bakery incubator is working now. A location has been identified at Matatian Industrial Estate in the Amajuba district for the construction of Amajuba Shed Production Facility that will focus on the manufacturing of detergents and cleaning chemicals. The construction of this facility is scheduled to begin in the first quarter of 23-24, whilst the construction completion rate at the Uku Vula Detergents Center stands at 98%. The KwaMashu Vula Detergents is now operational and 75 small enterprises have been enrolled for a 3-year mentorship program. A lot is still coming, honorable members. 28th of February 23, the Enterprise Development Fund has received 22 loan applications with a combined value of 305 million. As we go along, honorable chairperson, program is aimed at providing business support and funding solutions to enterprise with a specific focus on youth, women, and business located in rural township areas, with a total value of 27 million. As we proceed, we must also highlight, Honorable Speaker, that acknowledge the significant progress that has been made in transforming the socio-economic landscape and improving the lives of the people of this province under successive ANC-led administration over the past 29 years. However, we believe that more radical measures are required to effectively address the persistent challenges of unemployment, poverty, and inequality. The Premier's SOPA address outlined, amongst other things, the issue of ensuring that we go and zoom on the issue of youth fund. We go and zoom on the programs targeting, in particular, township and rural economy. And we are following that due diligence, and we're going to make sure that 40 million and 50 million will be combined and utilized for the strength of assisting. Black Industrial Program, the department is strategically partnering with other national departments, such as the DTIC, to support black industrialists under the Black Industrial Program. Through KZN Growth 5, the province is currently assessing 9 black industrialist projects valued at over 544 million, which has created more than 6,000 jobs. The Vula Fund, we have outlined it, the scope and the length, and there are a lot of SMMEs projects that will be also, when we open the window, will be done in this financial year. I must proceed, Honorable Chairperson, in pursuit constant support for the growth and development of the cultural and creative industry, CCI. The department implemented the Emerging Designers Incubations Program in collaboration with South African Creative Industries Incubator, which is critical in our rural communities in particular. The program selected 25 emerging designers from various districts, including Uku, Zululand, Uthukela, Umzinyati, Umgungundlovu, and eThekwini. I'm happy to announce that one of our participants in the program has already signed a contract to have her clothing line displayed, sold at Edgar's in this year. Siyaqhuba asimile asinamona asinanzondo sidumisa intuthuko nje yaphambili. No African National Congress sihamba naye. We have heard on numerous occasions how rules and regulation, administrative, just to deal with red tapes, procedures and systems, and even social values that are no longer effective in achieving their intention. On radical and local economic development, Speaker, it's critical that small cane growers in this year, we've got formulation of 3-year partnership with SAFTA, which is benefiting through fertilizer, and a lot of our people are going to benefit in that project. We must highlight on tourism. It gives me pleasure to announce that KZN official South Africa's leading domestic tourism destination, with statistics recently released by South African Tourism showing that province recorded as domestic trips for the year 2026 at 7.6 million trips, surpassing the pre-COVID-19 of 6.2 million in 2019. The last time the province reached the 7 million mark was in 2013. This amounts to domestic tourism spend of 19.5 billion. Hotel occupancy has also increased from 68 to 81%, and we are glad to announce that during our Passover or the Easter days. I want to just highlight, for example, Ezemvelo Montas program created 250 jobs in 2022. Ezemvelo KZN Wildlife is implementing various projects to enhance the returns the province receives from its environmental assets, such as KZN Maloti Drakensberg, Transfrontier Park Fence Project, Umlala's Road Project, Tendele Roofing Project, Tembe Ndumo Project, Itala Road Project, and Mitma Road. These projects are different stages and implementation have so far created more than 400 new jobs in the market. In 23 years, Ezemvelo KZN Wildlife has committed to supporting 180 rural communities that are adjacent to protected areas in the biodiversity economy. This initiative falls under the Rural Economic Revitalization Program, which aims to assist local entrepreneurs in accessing training, incubators, funding, and market opportunities. Following the acquisition of first SACA remote operating certificate license that enables the entity to legally operate drones in controlled and uncontrolled airspaces, Ezemvelo will intend to use drones in anti-poaching, search and rescue, amongst other things, as just to ensure that we gallivant and make sure that we protect our species, we protect our biodiversity. I will also just highlight, Honorable Speaker, that you might have seen that in the document, a lot of things are already contained and consigned there, but because of time, we had to elevate some of those things. If you go to Richards Bay ITZ, you've got projects that are going to be implemented in this year to the value of 6 billion, which means that KwaZulu-Natal is growing, and we are making sure that we are formulating a strategy of ensuring that whatever transpired in the state of the province outlined by the Premier, we are creating more and more jobs. We do have a project which deals with invasive alien species program. In the previous financial year, it dealt with 176 hectares of land were cleared of invasive alien species, creating 9,499 jobs. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chairperson, in 2023, the department commits to clearing 100,000 hectares of alien species, creating more than 7,725 jobs. The department also intends to upscale the number of jobs by 10,000. Madam Speaker, the fight to conserve our biodiversity is critical, and it must be protected by all of us who are participating in this journey. I'm sure on the issue of informal traders, when we launch Operation Vula Fund and when we dealt with the issue of the relief money from the disaster, we were clinical that we are not going to acquire the documents strictly on informal traders. It is the duty of the department juxtapose the process, just assist those people. I'm sure we've also highlighted the issue of social entrepreneurship program. The department has acknowledged the significant contribution of the social economy towards addressing developmental challenges in the province. As a result, they've contracted the University of KwaZulu-Natal, Mangosuthu Buthelezi University of Technology and University of Zululand to provide technical assistance, 235 opportunities. In conclusion, Honorable Chairperson, I would like to thank the ANC and the entire ANC leadership for entrusting me with this humbling responsibility. I wish to extend my appreciation to the Honorable Premier, Ms. Nomusa Dube-Ncube Nzwakele, for her continued support. I would also like to thank my esteemed colleagues in the Provincial Executive Committee and social partners in the province for their continued resolve to see the entire KZN being extracted from the shackles of poverty and economic transformation. I would like to extend my appreciation to my predecessors, all of them, Honorable Chairperson, starting from Dr. Zwelin Lawrence Mkhize, was once at the steering of this department. Mr. Mike Mabuyakulu was once involved in this department. Mr. Sihle Zikalala, the currently Minister of Public Works, was once involved in this department. The Premier herself, Ms. Nomusa Dube-Ncube, who has been involved in this department. And lastly, Mr. Ravi Pillay, who paved the way and laid a solid foundation. So the ANC's consistency like that, we are tapping from the galvanized strategy and their wisdom. We are proceeding. Want to thank the role that has been played by HOD Ubaba Nkontwana for leading the department with the entire management team, who are always ready and willing to go an extra mile. My gratitude also goes to the chairperson of and the CEO of the public entities who are playing a pivotal role in ensuring that we continue with our development mandate. I also salute all the members of the ATIA family, from the ministry to the department. Abangaze balale bezama ukuthi sizwe sisebenze kahle. And lastly but not least in love, I would like to thank my wife, Mrs. Duma, and the entire Duma family for their unwavering support. Yes, I'm happily married. Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. In the budget of the budget of entities in this year, 2023-24, Dube Trade Port have been given 504, Zemvelo 893, Itala 112, KwaZulu-Natal Film Commission 93, KwaZulu Gaming and Betting 52, KZN Liquor Authority 89, KwaZulu-Natal Tourism 150 million, KwaZulu-Natal Shark Sport 69 million, KZN Growth Fight 47 million, Trade and Investment received 130 million, Moses Kotane Institute 57 million. In total, the entities got 2.3 billion in this financial year. Then, in the department, I will want to present that administration, we've got 336, Integrated Economic Development Service 372, Trade and Industry Development 967, Business Regulation and Governance allocated 205, Economic Planning 46, Tourism Development 281, Environmental Management 1.197, and the total allocation is 3,406,530,000. I now move the budget. I move. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker and Chairperson of the House.
Thank you. Thank you, MEC, for ATIA. Let's get seated. Let's move on. Now we'll move to the report by the Chairperson of Economic Development and Tourism on vote for budget, Honorable Ndombela, for 10 minutes.
Honorable Chairperson, members of the Executive Council present, honorable members, HOD and your team and the CEO of entities, asibonge ukuthola leli thuba. We table this report in accordance with the provisions of the rule of the KwaZulu-Natal Legislature. It's an honor for me to deliver the committee reports on the discussions and deliberations relating to the 23-24 budget and annual performance plan for the Department of Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs. In particular, programs 1 to 6 as we exercise oversight on these programs. This report is an account of the budget processes embarked upon by the Portfolio Committee for consideration toward adoption, passing of the budget for vote for the 23-24 financial year. Honorable Chairperson, the budget cycling model utilized by the Portfolio Committee to conduct oversight is founded upon definite timelines for reporting by departments. It is therefore imperative for the department to submit reports to the Portfolio Committee timeously. Indeed, I wish to confirm that the department submitted both the 2020-24 draft and final budgets and APP timeously, which enabled the committee to engage on these documents thoroughly. Over and above the mandates to legislate and conduct oversight, the Portfolio Committee should facilitate public participation. In line with this mandate, the committee facilitated the stakeholders' engagement on the 17th of January 2023 at Ngochane Community Hall in Pongolo. This is where the department presented the 2023-24 draft budget and APP to both the Portfolio Committee and the stakeholders. The Portfolio Committee received briefings from its own support staff and presentation from the department on the 2023-24 final draft budget and APP on the 3rd of March 2023. Furthermore, the department and all its entities also appeared before the Finance Portfolio Committee on the 14th of March for further deliberation and engagement on the final inputs. During the above stakeholders' engagement, the community and stakeholders participated immensely and provided valuable inputs for the department to consider when crafting its future plans. The following were some of the inputs by the stakeholders. That the department is asked to really look at the red tape utilized as barriers to entrance to businesses monopolized by certain individuals and companies. Banks' requirements to obtain loans and business accounts were also highlighted as red tape utilized as hindrances to SMME's sustainability. That the department is applauded for interventions such as Operation Vula Fund. However, inaccessibility to timeous finance and support was flagged as a hindrance to SMMEs. Challenges with electricity cuts and water shortage were cited as having negative impact in the hospitality industry. That the department is requested to support SMMEs and cooperatives by providing assistance with marketing of products produced, by encouraging people, businesses, and the government to buy from them, and assisting them to have direct access to the market. There were suggestions that the district offices be equipped with more resources as they were closer to communities and more accessible, and the department should channel more funds to LEDs as they too were closer to the public. This increase in funding should be accompanied by empowerment of local councillors with knowledge of programs or projects offered by the department, as such empowerment will improve in the functioning of SMMEs. The department is requested to increase provision of access to commercial property for SMMEs in township and rural areas, and to intensify rural and township economy development, concentrating on underdeveloped township as major intervention for local economic growth and job creation. The department tabled its total budget as outlined by the MEC of 3.407 billion for 2023 financial year. The committee noted that the budget program is 2.209 billion. The committee further noted that there was a negative growth of 7 percentage points when current budget was compared to 2022-23 final appropriation, and core programs such as 2, 3, and 6 also recorded negative growth. The committee noted with concern that budget cuts were affected against goods and service budgets of a program charged with integrated economic development. Honorable Chair, approximately 70% of the department's budget is spent at entity level. Alignment of plans between the department and its entities of paramount importance. and effective monitoring mechanisms cannot be emphasized. A budget is not only about figures and financial techniques, but it's a plan about service delivery. At the core of these figures lies service delivery outcomes that should have a positive impact on the lives of ordinary South Africans. Hence, the committee welcomes the reprioritization the department has undertaken to ensure that the negative growth does not affect the department's key initiatives and projects tasked with service delivery. The committee acknowledges the priority program project the department seeks to pursue in 2023 is the attainment of its SWOC license. It must be mentioned that as a portfolio committee, we are concerned that this issue has taken more than 10 years without any progress or conclusivity. Implementation of Operation Vula Fund window, establishment of a well fund, establishment of Maritime University Academy at Oku District, and facilitating agro processing and market access of for cannabis, to name just a few. However, the committee will focus on its oversight on the following priorities identified in the AOP for 2023 as derived from the APP and aligned to the national and provincial priorities. These include, amongst others, reconstruction and recovery of the provincial economy, job retention, job creation, investment into infrastructure, SME support, industrialization, localization, focus on priority groups, women, youth, disabled people, building a capable state, since the department has obtained approval of organogram filling critical positions, effective functioning of district offices, business automation systems, promoting good governance, strengthening the internal control, internal audit and risk management, implementation of fraud prevention plan and consequence management, rationalization of public entities, streamlining governance services, elimination of duplication, shared services, cost savings, promotion of integrated planning development through Economic Council, TDM model, etc. Madam Speaker, according to State SA GDP release posted on the 7th of March 2023, although the GDP has reached an all-time high in 2022, the economy has only grown by 0.3 from the pre-pandemic reading of 4.58 trillion. This is an indication of how much the pandemic has hindered economic growth. It's only at the end of Q4 in 2022 that we have reached pre-pandemic GDP levels. For our province, in addition to the distraction turned on us by COVID-19, we have had to face the July 2021 unrest, which once again placed a disturbance on economic activities in the province. As the province were fighting to recover the province had to face another adversity in the form of widespread April 22 floods, which wreaked havoc on both our infrastructure and put a damper on our economy. We acknowledge the important headway the department has made in the past financial years to shield business from these adversities. However, these challenges mean that the department has to be more determined than ever to implement these programs and projects with vigor and agents to boost economic recovery and growth, which will result in more job opportunities. Having considered the budget and the APP presented by the department, the committee noted with concern the following issues: the delays in the finalization of the rationalization of entities, the fast tracking of filling of budgeted vacant posts since the department organogram has been approved. The department is implored to look deeper into the issues of energy supply and the impact that it has on businesses, especially SMMEs, and consider intervention to assist struggling SMMEs. Post-financing support from the department and funding entities to remain major area of concern. The funding should be provided after due diligence and thereafter. Post-financing support and solutions should be offered to deter defaulting on repayments of loans, provided and improving sustainability and job creation, retention funded SMMEs. Committee also raised concern on slow progress on the framework of on cannabis to enable smaller farmers, growers to have meaningful participation in this industry. As a committee, we adopted the report in concurrence across all political parties. We welcome these budgets. We commit on our support in ensuring that the department plays its role effectively as expected. Having considered the department 2023 and 24 budget and APP, the committee agreed on the report. Siyabonga Sihlalo.
Thank you so much, Honorable Ndombela. The next speaker on the report of Environmental Affairs on the same vote, budget for Honorable Mfundisi S.W. Msheng. For this one.
Mengithi ngizofunda kule zinto. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, members of the executive, led by the Premier, the leader of government business. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is an honor to present the budget report on behalf of the Portfolio Committee on Conservation and Environmental Affairs. The report I table today provides a brief summary of the Portfolio Committee's deliberations on the 23-24 budget and annual performance plan for both Program 7, Environmental Affairs, and its entities, envelope, KZN Wildlife. Inputs provided by stakeholders when the committee facilitated stakeholders' participation during the budgetary process, concerns raised by the committee during deliberations, and resolutions taken by the committee after through consideration of these reports. The committee wishes to commend both the department and the entity for timely submission of both the draft and final budget and APP for 23-24. These timely submissions enable the committee to thoroughly engage on the submissions and hold meaningful, productive deliberations. Having a role in the budget process, considering the budget and evaluating appropriateness of financial resource allocation is one of the many elements of legislative oversight. Intent on having a role in the budget process and contributing to budget oversight, the committee met with both the department and entity on several occasions to consider from the first to the final draft of the 23-24 budget and APP. The first deliberations were held in the presence of stakeholders at Old Legislature Chamber at Zululand District, Olundi, on the 9th of December, year 2022, and the final draft was tabled and thoroughly considered on the 17th of March, year 2023. The Portfolio Committee and also attended budget hearings held at by the Finance Portfolio Committee on the 14th of March, year 2023. House Chairperson, this was done to enhance legislative scrutiny and oversight on budget and the executive. During the above-mentioned stakeholders' interaction at Old Legislature Council Chamber in Zululand, community members applauded the department for good services delivered in that area, such as provision of necessary circular economy skills to cooperatives. The committee commends the department for this good work and pleads with the department to continue with similar interventions across the province. There were requests for: 1, the department ETIA to assist local municipality to implement relevant bylaws to stop people from illegal dumping; 2, the department to work with local municipalities to ensure that local tourism is uplifted so that they generate income; 3, review and updating of community levy policy to cover all wild animals; 4, the department and entity to ensure that private game reserves also adhere to all regulations as there are concerns of non-regulation of these private reserves. Landfill compliance will remain on the committee's agenda until there are notable improvements. Then lastly, local economic opportunities be maximized, especially the construction of buyback centers in all local municipalities, as recycling remains a new goal. The department tabled a budget of 1.197 billion for Program 7, Environmental Affairs for 2023-24, which showed positive growth when compared to 22-23 final budget. The committee noted with acknowledgement positive growth on the following sub-programs which are vital to the Environmental Affairs program, which are: 1, environmental policy planning and coordination; 2, environmental quality management; 3, biodiversity management; and lastly, environmental empowerment services. The committee also noted with acknowledgement the budget of 72 million rand allocated to the initiative of creating additional 5,000 jobs in circular economy for youth through Zibambele Provincial Youth Project. However, committee implored and challenged the department to double both the input and output figures on this project in order to have meaningful impact in the province. As envelope tabled the main budget of 1.71 billion for 23-24, the committee noted that the total allocation from the stakeholder ETIA increases, especially this baseline subsidy of 841.358 million rand. The committee also noted and welcomed the 7% increase on budget for sale of goods and services. The committee is well aware of the adverse impact COVID-19 has had on the tourism revenue and notes with concern that the current budget for sale of goods and services is 83% of the pre-COVID, that was 2019-2020 revenue budget. House Chairperson, the entity has budgeted 30 million rand for maintenance in 2023-24, and payment for capital is 11.117 million rand. It is important for the entity to spend this budget with efficacy and obtain value for money because for its own sustainability, it has to increase its revenue generation capacity. The committee has identified the following priority areas as per annual oversight plan, AOP, to monitor during the 2023-24 financial year. 1, job creation through expanded public works program, including invasive alien species program and coast-to-coast cleanup program. Waste management, which is a state compliance of landfill sites, waste recycling projects, air quality management, Ezemvelo KZN wildlife governance and management, environmental impact assessment, that would be through municipal support, then Ezemvelo KZN wildlife infrastructure development and funding mechanisms. Then lastly, climate change response. The committee acknowledged the budgetary constraints which presents mutually conflicting conditions on Ezemvelo. It however noted with concern that 1, on the revenue side, approximately 83% of the allocation is from ETIA through subsidy and IASP, and only 15.6% is revenue generated through goods and services. Whereas on the expenditure side, only 4% of the total budget is allocated to maintenance. This is truly a cause for concern for the committee, Honorable Chair. And budgeted wage agreement from 22 to 23 is placing a huge burden of around 100 million rand on the entity. The committee also noted with concern the financial impact or budgetary implications the merger with Natal Sharks Board will have on an already constrained 22-23 budget and the budgetary implications such as revenue and related cost of Ezemvelo exiting Isimangaliso. The progress of the commercialization and finalization of the rationalization of the two entities remains a serious concern for the Portfolio Committee Chair. The reported human-wildlife conflict, Honorable MEC, around the Hluhluwe Imfolozi Park, Honorable MEC, Game Reserve remains a concern. The committee held engagement with HIP neighboring communities and commits to assist further in this financial year. It also welcomes mitigation efforts from the department and the entity. Having considered and deliberated on the main budget and the APP for environmental affairs, the committee members from various parties voted as follows. ANC supported the budget, IFP supported, DA abstained, EFF was not present, Minority Front supported. In conclusion, I would like to thank all members of the committee for their commitment and dedication in advancing environmental sustainability and resilience for socio-economic development through protecting and promoting sustainable use of resources. On behalf of the committee chairperson, I would like to thank the MEC, the HOD, the management and department of the board and management of Ezemvelo for their continued cooperation with the committee. I would also like to thank the Treasury and committee support staff for their continued support. The committee recommends that the House vote in support of this budget. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Now we'll start our debate by ANC Chief Whip, Honorable J.S. Nxumalo, for 11 minutes. Zwede.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson Makeba, honorable members of the Executive Council, Honorable Premier, honorable members of the Legislature, ladies and gentlemen, once again, good afternoon. Sihlalo hloniphekile sidlulisa ukuthenjwa Sidlulisa ukubonga ukuthenjwa umbutho wesizwe ukuthi sibe yingxenye yale nkulumo mpikiswane ka vote for namhlanje, where we meet in an important month as declared by our movement as the month of heroes and heroines of our struggle, the Freedom Month. Of course, it is through the sacrifice of those heroes and revolutionaries such as Solomon Kamahlangu, who was brutally hanged by the apartheid government 44 years ago at the age of 23 years old. The revolutionary ideas of Solomon Mahlangu lives on even today. His selflessness and sacrifices allowed all of us to enjoy the freedom we have today, which his generation never enjoyed. While we speak about this giant, allow me to share his last words. I quote, "My blood will nourish the tree that bear the fruits of freedom. Tell my people that I love them. They must continue the fight," close quote. Indeed, Chairperson, we will continue the fight today to fight against poverty, unemployment, and inequality. Honorable members of this august House, it has been just over a year since the catastrophic floods devastated our province of KwaZulu-Natal, and we're working to recover from the July riots of 2021. Just 10 months prior, with damages and cost of our provincial economy estimated to be 20 billion rands, these floods, which commenced on the 11th of April and continued until the 13th of April, damaged our infrastructure and the economy to an estimated value of 25 billion. We know, honorable members, that some of our communities during these floods lost their loved ones, whom some of them not even today have found them. And we want once again to extend our heartfelt condolences to all of those families. With all the challenges this government has endured, the ANC-led government has shown great resilience and tenacity in harnessing our efforts to resolutely and consistently overcome the systemic challenges of inequality, poverty, and unemployment exacerbated by these challenges. Today, I stand proudly that this department in particular has put tremendous effort in coordinating these relief measures, including the Solidarity Fund. As the African National Congress, we have to say, Honorable MEC, that it was never an easy task, but through your visionary leadership and foresight, today looks better than yesterday. Honorable MEC Mthombe Nomkhulu, and we salute you and your collective leadership for ensuring that the economic recovery plan was made a reality as we are witnessing the fruit thereof today. The African National Congress wishes to appreciate the response from our government, private sector, and non-governmental organizations who have always rallied the support to the province with humanitarian assistance and rebuilding of infrastructure. Some of the support packages that were introduced, the Minister of Culture declared the floods in KwaZulu-Natal as a state of disaster. This has enabled government to fast-track measures to assist the affected families and to rebuild infrastructure and restore services. The activation of Section 30A of National Environmental Management Act, which deals with the authorization for emergency situation to fast-track the rebuilding program, and also the Department of Small Business Development, which has unveiled 60 million rand business recovery support, which is made out of 50 million rands for small businesses and 10 million rand for informal sector. This package entails access of between 2 million and 10 million by formal businesses and 10,000 for informal businesses. DTIC, through the Industrial Development Corporation, has availed a 500 million rand recovery package for infrastructure rebuilding, bridging finance for businesses, capitalization, and working capital. The package targets businesses that are not insured, and underinsured. The fund is from a minimum of 1 million rand, and it is capped at 60 million rand per applicant. Trade and Investment KwaZulu-Natal are in an advanced discussion with the IDC to lobby for additional financial support for businesses that have gone into distress. And also, IDFC has identified a number of properties within their industrial parks which are available for companies that would like to temporarily or permanently relocate their businesses operations while the rebuilding program is underway, which as indeed KwaZulu-Natal, the economic weakness growth in the third quarter of 2022, bouncing back from 0.4% second quarter contraction. Our unemployment at KwaZulu-Natal stand at 30.6%, was also below the national average of 32.9% in the third quarter of 2022. Honorable Chairperson and honored members, MEC again Mtombeni has clearly indicated that one of the main contributing sectors to our economic development in our province is tourism. Working together with our public and private sector partners to instill confidence in all travelers following the above-mentioned challenges has resulted in a positive incline in the domestic travel. Statistics recently released by South African Tourism shows that KZN recorded the most domestic trips for the year 2022 at 7.6 million trips, surpassing the pre-COVID-19 numbers of 6.2 million in 2019. The last time the province reached the 7 million mark was in 2013. This amounts to a domestic tourism spend of 19.5 billion, which is really encouraging. Through the African National Congress-led government working together with TKZN, investors and local communities, there are 9 major projects across the province which are on the pipeline. The total value of this investment, once realized, is around 3 billion and will propel tourism in the province to even greater heights and create much needed job opportunities. Honorable Chairperson, we want to continue to support our government to give hope to the hopeless and in the process rebuild our economies, our communities on the basis of trust and renewed commitment to a better future and better KwaZulu-Natal. In this regard, we also want to salute the Executive Council for decisiveness by resolving that each department must reprioritize within their budget an amount of 10 million rands to contribute towards job creation through an intensified expanded public works program to benefit youth, women, and people with disabilities. We really commend the government of KwaZulu-Natal for this intervention. It is clearly indicating that when the people raise issues on which direction the government should take, our government listens, and we want to commend our government for that. It is also worth expressing that we continue seeing our government budgetary process favoring the youth of our province. In many ways, that is commended and should continue to, as young people are the future of this country and remains the majority in terms of our population. Honorable Chairperson, we want to appreciate the 100 million rand that has been set aside as a startup for Operation Vula Fund, second window where youth-owned SMMEs will be prioritized, and we therefore call upon young people to make use of this opportunity which the African National Congress-led government has created. We also want to highlight this good story of Itala Development Finance Corporation that has distributed 145 million funding to 293 SMMEs and cooperatives which will be creating 1,297 employment opportunities and inaugural window of the Operation Vula Fund, which saw 116,000 applicants worth of 339 million. Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, as the African National Congress, we support this budget. I thank you.
Thank you, honorable member. The next speaker from the IFP is Honorable Pete Govender for 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Am I audible?
Oh. Okay. You are audible.
Greetings to the Honorable Premier, Honorable Leader of the Official Opposition, and all honorable members in the House. It gives me great pleasure today to represent the Inkatha Freedom Party in this important debate. Honorable Chairperson, I wish the Honorable Ntombeni would attend some of the IFP functions to see just how technologically advanced the IFP is, because he doesn't seem to know that the IFP uses advanced technology. So it'll be nice for him to attend some of our events. Honorable Chairperson, economic development and tourism is one of the departments that has the potential to improve the lives of the citizens of our province. The IFP appreciates all efforts that government is doing to revive the mandate of repositioning KZN as Africa's tourism and investment destination. We also acknowledge and applaud various collaborative initiatives designed to facilitate the process of establishing tourism clusters in the province. We are, however, worried that KZN, in all fairness, does not present a positive outlook for a variety of reasons, some of which might repeat themselves. First among these is that we are in a province that lives under a cloud of a repeat of the July 21 riots and looting that destroyed many businesses, led to the loss of lives and thousands of jobs. We have not as yet heard of any constructive and assuring preventative solutions designed to avoid what this province went through during July 2021. This leads me to the second concern, which is a waning business and investor confidence in the province, with many companies adopting a wait-and-see attitude. Issues such as slow progress in approving water use licenses, EIAs, community service delivery protests, radical criminal groups that disrupt projects, all contribute to a negative business environment. With that being said, we do believe that more needs to be done to resuscitate investor confidence in our province. Trade and Investment KwaZulu-Natal says that it is on an aggressive approach towards repositioning KZN as a preferred investment destination, and they plan to do this through engagements with the diplomatic corps and so on. This sounds like an endless objective with no feasible plans on how it will be achieved. This makes us skeptical about having overwhelming confidence that KZN is going to be the #1 destination for tourists and business investors during the 23-24 financial year. The IFP believes that the department needs to aggressively implement the much talked about red tape reduction initiative, especially at municipal level, as this will fast track investment in KZN. What makes the investor confidence situation even worse is that the province is struggling with an ongoing water crisis, particularly in the Utugela and Ubu district municipalities, and in some parts of eThekwini Metro, which sustained heavy infrastructure damage during the April floods. In addition, at a presentation to the Portfolio Committee, we were told that in 2022, load shedding resulted in a collective 157 days without power supply, and 55,000 jobs were lost in KZN. This added to other problems such as the high rates of crime and violence does not provide a good picture for foreign direct investments in our province. Honorable Chairperson, one needs to be mindful that foreign direct investment is based on trust. Trust in our country, trust in its leadership, trust in our ability to deliver a reliable power supply, trust to protect investment infrastructure from criminal activity and corruption. Without such trust, we will not see investors clamoring to invest in our province. This is why people are placing their trust in the IFP, because they know we are a party that they can trust. Honorable Chairperson, I do not mean to sound overtly pessimistic, but I would rather have it that way than to lead our people in the direction of blind optimism. I believe that we should shy away from tabling ideas that are too extravagant and unachievable and focus on realistic solutions. One such example would be the great fanfare that surrounded the announcement of the Mara phones had pledged 1.5 billion rand to build South Africa's first high-tech smartphone plant and associated retail infrastructure in 2019 at the Dubai Trade Port outside Durban. At the launch, the company had said that it had roughly spent half of that planned capital to set up the factory. Even though Mara Phones was granted a 100 million rand tax break and was given the promise that government would give it preference when any of its departments bought cell phones until 2026, the company has gone bust and jobs were lost. Such occurrences do not give confidence to future investors and our citizens who are in the job market. I do believe that it is not too late to revive business confidence in KZN. I often hear the call for citizens to buy locally produced goods, and our citizens will want to be patriotic and respond positively if only cheap imports were curtailed. And I was very encouraged to hear from the MEC earlier that there's been a lot of improvement in terms of exports. And I just hope, Honorable Chairperson, that those exports are finished goods and not raw materials. Because if we're exporting finished goods, then we are creating jobs within our own province. The department is receiving a 6.909 million EPWP conditional grant, and I would like to think that that funding will be channeled towards creating an enabling environment that will attract potential investors. Honorable Speaker, it is my earnest belief that our province is in a crisis when it comes to unemployment, and previous speakers have alluded to that. I'm aware that it is not government's responsibility to provide jobs, but government has a responsibility to create a conducive environment for investments that would create sustainable jobs. As the official opposition in KZN, the IFP supports efforts directed at providing adequate employment through small and medium-term business support initiatives in the province, such as learnerships, mentorships, and leadership programs, as well as initiatives to support youth-owned businesses through the KZN Youth Empowerment Fund, as well as Operation Vula Fund. Nevertheless, we would like to encourage this department to be very cautious and vigilant of any cynical attempts by officials and senior staff members who seek to benefit themselves and their friends through these schemes. I am pleased to note that the KZN Growth Fund has 4 projects in the pipeline that will create 238 new jobs and save about 4,300 jobs. But this entity needs to be cautious because it is presently grappling with a number of projects that are in a state of recovery due to non-performance. I refer to projects such as the Kwaduguza private hospital that was given 70 million rand in 2015, but now summons have been served on it. In 2016, HBM SA was given 65.7 million rand and summons are going to be served this month. The entity informed the portfolio committee that it has 5 matters before the courts to the value of 700 million rand, and this has also incurred legal costs of 4 million rand. This is money that belongs to the citizens of our province. Hence my call for caution, and I urge the department to ensure that proper due diligence is conducted before taxpayers' money is invested in such ventures. Since about 70% of the department budget goes to entities, it is critical that these entities all pull together and align their plans so that we can take our province forward. I also want to urge the department to ensure that critical vacant funded posts are filled by competent and honest officials. I am aware that DPSA has approved the filling of close to 190 vacant posts that are funded, and I want to urge the department to move with speed to ensure that that is indeed done. I urge the Honorable Ntombeni to find a way to provide assistance to the farmers with the back flooding that is taking place at St. Lucia Lake, that is destroying crops and putting people out of jobs while damaging the economy of the area. When we visited areas that were affected by the July 2021 unrest and looting, we found that township economies were largely devastated. This department needs to do all that is needed to revive township economies and assist informal traders, as these sectors are the drivers of the economy at a local level and they should not be left behind. Honorable Chairperson, millions of rands have been spent on the Drakensberg cable car project. We need to know what is the future of this project. Is the department intending to scrap it or to throw money at it? We are aware that some departments spend massive amounts of money and it is being lost through corruption and flagrant disregard for the PFMA as well as Treasury regulations. Honorable Chairperson, the IFP supports the department budget of 3.406 billion rand for the 2023-2024 financial year. I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker from the Democratic Alliance, Honorable H.U. De Boer, for 6 minutes. Order, members.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Good afternoon, colleagues, comrades, and friends, Honourable Chair. For those of you who haven't ventured outside yet, I suggest that you go outside and look at the dead lion and the shark that's out there that's been provided by the KZN Sharks Board. And in many respects, this provincial budget is much like the budget. It's bloated, it's stuffed, and it also stinks. On that note, we must approach this budget from a sober perspective. Honourable members, sober perspective. As we prepare to forge into the 2024 election, it would be remiss not to reflect on almost 3 not-so-glorious decades of ANC rule. Today's budget, much like those before it, does little to alleviate the scourge of unemployment, crime, poverty, and a lack of investor confidence that has besieged our beautiful province. The failings of successive ANC budgets and policy decisions have now hastened the decline of the very same ANC. All but a few of the major metropolitan cities are governed by the Democratic Alliance. In KwaZulu-Natal, the DA Mayor, Chris Pappas, and his team, Chris Pappas, you remember him, continued to demonstrate remarkable success in local government where the ANC once floundered. Where debt was piled up under ANC administration, the financial coffers have been tied up, roads are being repaired, capital expenditure is being normalized, and critical service delivery is being restored to a municipality the ANC could just never get right. Umgeni is quickly transforming into a sustainable tourism and economic hub. Again, there wasn't a good story to tell under the ANC. There certainly is a good one to tell under the DA. The state of the province can perhaps be surmised in a tale of poverty. In conducting oversight into the slaughter of elephant on Ezemvelo property near Jazini, the DA heard of the plight of an old lady. Her son was being tracked by members of an anti-poaching unit, having just killed an antelope in a private reserve. The APU staff stumbled across the humble rural home of the woman, living in abject poverty, shunned by authority and government. Her only meal that day was a pot full of beetles she had collected. She had no food, no money, and no hope, thanks to the ANC. As honourable members prepare to retire to their homes for a square meal tonight, please remember this lady who had been forced into eating insects because of the ANC and its policies, and because of your supposed economic growth and employment that has failed dismally. The outcomes of the 2023-24 budget are largely predictable and uninspiring year on year. Again, a copy and paste exercise. The budgets are, however, well crafted to allow maximum publicity for the Honourable MEC. Much like a deputy mayor, Etia's MEC fully exploits entities like Tourism KZN. Eat, meet and greet. That's for what, Honourable Premier? Where political propaganda are the order of the day. Apparently giving out toasters and kettles while the KZN economy flounders is also politically prudent. Shame on you, ANC. Shame on you, MEC. We can see your toasters and food parcels, and we are waiting for 2024. Last week's political shenanigans and speculation were, however, key in assessing whether the Etia budget will make a meaningful impact on the lives of citizens. President Ramaphosa again launched his investment in Daba. I'm actually quite surprised he managed to do anything because he hasn't said anything in about a year. So he launched it in Gauteng, in a last-ditch attempt to lure investors into the country. In the same week, the president announced an envoy will be sent to the United States to please explain the ANC's love affair, there's an affair going on there, with Russia. And I believe there's a portfolio committee also going to Russia. It's a terrorist state that enjoys killing Ukrainian citizens. More than 35% of South Africa's exports and trade are with the EU and are with the EU and with the United States. Less than 1% of our GDP and our exports go to Russia. Yet our foreign policy is so designed to again make South Africa the proverbial international leper and embarrassment. It's really funny when you spend so much time on my speech, it really is. Your policies and shenanigans with disgraced dictators like Putin are the root cause of economic demise. Shame on you, ANC, and shame on you, Russia. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, economists and even the ordinary man on the street are holding their heads in frustration. Stage 6 load shedding, fuel price increases, terrible crime and bad roads are eroding what is left of the South African rand. The back to basics policy has gone out of the window while MEC's cars have gone into potholes. Some of the province's key economic corridors have yet to be fixed following a lackluster response to the flooding. The M4 bridge linking the important tourist destination of Belito to Durban is still not repaired. Other critical infrastructure leading to our wildlife reserves are also a death trap, while our port operations that have been lauded in such great terms remain in a critical condition and are extremely unstable. I'll be back, Honourable Chair.
Thanks, Honourable Member. The next speaker from EFF, Honourable N.N. Ngubane, for 9 minutes. EFF, Honourable N.N. Ngubane, for the second time. Honourable N.N. Ngubane for the third time. The next speaker from the ANC, Honourable N.N. Spidla. N.N. Spidla for 11 minutes. Kuzega Kapis.
Somlomo, Mama Honorable Boyce, Sihlalo wendlu ehloniphekileyo, amalunga ahloniphekile wonke, nabantu bonke besifundazwe sakithi sanibona. Somlomo lenkulumo mpikiswano yesabelo mali somnyango wezokuthuthukiswa komnotho, ezokuvakasha kanye nokunakekelwa kwemvelo. Yenzeka enyangeni lapho sizobe sibungaza khona noma sibungaza khona iminyaka engama-29 sathola inkululeko yokuzibusa. Lesi isikhathi lapho malunga ahloniphekile kufanele sithathe ikhefu sibheke ibanga esesilihambile ukushintsha impilo yabantu, ikakhulukazi indlu emnyama, njengoba kwakuyibo ababephucwe amalungelo obuzwe. Umbutho wesizwe uKhongolose soloko kwathi nhlo kusukela ngo-1994 usamile kwisivumelwano abanaso nomphakathi wonke waseMzantsi Afrika. Ngo-1994 umbutho wesizwe wathembisa abantu bakithi ukuthi uyokwenza lokhu okulandelayo uma uthola ithuba lokuphatha. Ngizothi qaphu okumbalwa esihlalo ngenxa yesikhathi. uKhongolose wathi uzokwakha uhlelo olulodwa lwemfundo kanye nemfundo yamahala yamabanga aphansi. Sihlalo ohloniphekile, lokhu sekwenzekile. Labo abangontanga yethu nabanye abangaphambili bayazi ukuthi sikhuluma ngani. Lapha kulesi sifundazwe sakithi sasinama departments amaningi ezemfundo. Yona lenhlangano yabantu Somlomo yaphinde yazibophezela ekusabalaliseni uhlelo lokwakhela abantu izindlu. Sonke kulendlu singofakazi ukuthi lo hulumeni kaKhongolose wakwenza lokhu futhi usaqhubeka uze ungene ngisho ezindaweni zasemakhaya ezingaphansi kwamakhosi aseNdlunkulu. Asimanga lapho sihlalo, umbutho kaMafukuzela wanquma ukuthi uzobuyisela umhlaba kubantu ngoba ukholelwa ukuthi iningizimu ngeyabo bonke abahlala kuyo. Kumanje nje sesibuyise umhlaba ongamahektare amaningi kakhulu kubantu ababephucwe amalungelo omhlaba. Sihlalo ukube sinaso isikhathi esanele ngabe umuntu uyaqhubeka abale nezinye izivumelwano noma izinqumo uKhongolose wazithatha osuzifezekile njengoba silapha namhlanje. Sihlalo ngivumeleke ngingene endikimbeni yanamhlanje. Ngizoqala ngokuthi singumbutho wesizwe siyasamkela isabelo semali somnyango oholwa ngumphathiswa uDuma Mthombeni. Sincoma kakhulu ukuthi nangaphansi kwengcindezi yokungakhuli komnotho ngendlela esifisa ngayo, umnyango uyaqhubeka nokuhambisa izinhlelo eziningi nezahlukene kubantu bakithi. Mhlonishwa Mthombeni, enkulumeni yakho sanda kuyithula kulendlu, uthinte udaba oluseduze nenhliziyo yami njengomlaphi wendabuko. Mhlonishwa, siushayela izandla umnyango ngokuthatha isinqumo sokuthi ungenelele ohlelweni lokuthuthukiswa komthunzi wezinkukhu lapha kulesi sifundazwe sakithi. I-ANC iyavumelana nawe Mthombeni ukuthi lolu hlelo lungenza omkhulu umehluko ekushintsheni impilo yabantu, ikakhulukazi kulesi sifundazwe sakithi. Sizokhumbula ukuthi abantu balesifundazwe ngaphansi kwezintaba zokhahlamba nakwezinye izindawo babeyitshala insangu bezilapha ngayo baphinde bondle imfuyo yabo. Kepha leli lungelo balephucwa ngendlela eyisihluku kakhulu ngonyaka ka-1956 kumlo owawubizwa ngokuthi iBergville Daggawo, lapho uhulumeni ubandlululo wathumela khona umbutho wamaphoyisa ukuthi uzoshisa amasimu ensangu lapha kuleya ndawo. Lesi senzo saholela ekufeni kwamalungu omphakathi, akufanga ke kuphela amalungu omphakathi nawo aziphindisela kwasala amaphoyisa awu-5 enkundleni. Angizukubala ke ababulawa besentilongweni. Azange bayeke kodwa abantu basekhahlamba ukulima leli khambi. Ngenxa yalokhu baqhubeka kumanje sinezifundiswa esingazibalula ezisuka kuleya ndawo ezafundiswa yiyo lensangu. Sinabantu ababehaqwe izifo ezithile esibaziyo kulesi sifundazwe saKwaZulu Natal abathi mhla basebenzisa insangu bathola ukululama. Siyabonga ke Mthombeni ukuthi uthi uyingceko kaJehova unjalo kodwa ungabi namahloni okukhuluma ngomthunzi wezinkukhu. Awuphelelanga lapho ngokuthi ukhulume nje kuphela kodwa uqhubeke nohlelo lokuthi usize labo abakulomkhakha ukuthi nabo bahlomule ngezinsiza ezizobenza bakwazi ukuthi babe ingxenye ngokuphelele yochungechunge lwenani value chain ngokulwimi lasemzini. Singajabula ke Mthombeni ukubona umnyango ungenelela nalapha ukhahlamba kakhulu lapho umphakathi ngaphansi kwendawo yaseMangwaneni naseMaswazini owaziqalela khona amasimi okutshala lo mthunzi wezinkukhu ngohlelo lolu lwesimanje manje. NgoMeyi kulonyaka silindele ukuthi sivune lapha ya eBergville. Inkinga ke ekhona emphathiswa ukuthi umphakathi awunazo izinsiza zokusebenza imshini yokuthi bakwazi ukukhiqiza isivuno sabo kwenzela ukuthi bakwazi ukusabalalisa kuzona zonke izindawo. So sizocela ke ukuthi umnyango ungenelele lapho ukwenzela ukuthi umphakathi walapha ya ukwazi ukuthi usihambise lesi sitshalo siyiminqukuthu compounds ngokulwimi lwesilungu khona bezokwazi ukuhlomula ngokufanele. Isifiso sabo ke esinye ukusabalalisa lolu hlelo kuwo wonke amakhosi aleya ndawo. Mthombeni isabelo semali osinike zona sika 5 million siyasamkela kodwa besicela ukuthi ngokuzayo uthi chatha engaphezulu kulokho okufakile. Sihlalo umhlonishwa Mthombeni uphinde wasazisa ngentshisekelo yakhe nohulumeni wonkana wesifundazwe yokuvuselela izinhlangano zemfela ndawonye ama-cooperatives. Nalokhu Mthombeni siyakuncoma kakhulu. Sikuncoma singuKhongolose lokhu ngoba sikhathazekile ngezinga lokwehluleka ukusimama kulomkhakha. Uma ubheka imbiko yezikhungo ezehlukene, ngaphakathi kanyaka we-2009 nowe-2015, izinhlangano zemfelandawonye ezingaphezulu kuka-20,000 zabhaliswa esigungwini se-CIPC. Inkinga ekhona kuso lesabelo esisibalayo esikhulu kangaka, mancane asasebenza naphilayo. Siyakuphathisa ke Mthombeni ukuthi kulolu hlelo lwakho lokuvuselela imfelandawonye ugxile kakhulu kuqeqesho lwamalunga ayo nabasebenzi beminyango ehlukene khona bezoqonda kahle umehluko phakathi kwemfelandawonye neminye imisebenzi yamabhizinisi. Subonile Mthombeni umnyango wakho uphuma ungena kwizifunda zonke unikezela ngezinsiza kuyona imfelandawonye. Imfelandawonye ngenye izindlela engasetshenziswa ukushintsha isimo njengoba ushilo isimo sempilo yabantu bakithi uma nje benikezwe konke lokho abakudingayo ukuthi bakwazi ukusebenza. Lapha endaweni yaseShowe sine cooperative efundwe i-department. Kumanje abantu baleya ndawo bakha ifurniture babuye futhi bakhande amadesiki ezikolo. Yiwo lo hulumeni kaKhongolose oshintsha izimpilo zabantu. ePhongolo lapha yasine co-op nakhona efundwe i-department. Kumanje abantu balapha they are producing 4,000 beds ngosuku olungena emarkeni yaleya ndawo. Kumanje emhlonishwa nje siyazi ukuthi umnyango uzoxhasa imfelandawonye namabhizinisi asakhasa ama-SMMEs angaphezulu ka-570 ngesabelo simali esilinganiselwa ku-305 million. Ngokusho komnyango sihlalo lolu xhaso luzokwakha amathuba emisebenzi engaphezulu ka-1800. Ngaphansi kohlelo lokuthuthukiswa kwamabhizinisi elibizwa nge-Enterprise Development, isabelo sika-250 million sizokwakha imisebenzi engu-2200. Uhlelo lweMasakhe Entrepreneurship olenzelwe ukulekelela nge-business support and funding solutions kosomabhizinisi, ikakhulukazi abasha, omama nalabo abasezindaweni zasemakhaya, nalo siyalwamkela nesabelo salo. Sibonga Mthombeni ukuthi kulo lolu hlelo umnyango ube nobuhlakani bokuthi uqoke abantu besifazana bangaphezulu ka-65 ukuthi bahlomule. Sikuthokozela lokhu kakhulu ngoba siyazi ukuthi uma uthuthukise owesifazane uthuthukise isizwe. Siyathemba ke ukuthi nabo lelithuba abalitholile bazolisebenzisa ngendlela ekuyiyo ukwenzela ukuthi imndeni yabo nemphakathi abahlala kuyo ithuthuke noma kushintshe isimo sempilo yabo. Somlomo uMthombeni uphinde wakhuluma ngohlelo lomnyango lokuthuthukisa uhlelo lwe-maritime esibuye ngesinye isikhathi silibize nge-blue economy noma 10th province economy. Siyalithokozela kakhulu lolu hlelo nokuthi kuzoba nenyuvesi lapha KwaZulu Natal ezakwazi ukuthi iqeqeshe abantu bakithi kwenzela ukuthi babe nolwazi oluphezulu ngalomkhakha. Bekuyenye yezinkinga esihlangabezana nazo kulesi sifundazwe ukuthi sishodelwa yilabo abafunde bagogodla kulomkhakha kwenzela ukuthi bazokwazi ukuthi bathuthukise abantu bakithi. Okunye sizokucela kuwe Mthombeni nomnyango wakho ukuthi umnyango uqale uhlelo lokuthi uadvocatele i-change kuma policies nama legislations that are governing this sector. Women are still discriminated in this sector, and many other people that are supposed to benefit ngenxa yolwandle imfula esinayo akwenzeki ngenxa yamanye ama policies. Okunye esicelayo ukuthi singapheleli nje kuphela ukubheka the internal laws. International laws also have an impact in terms of how as South Africa ensure that our people participate in this sector. Siyabonga Sihlalo.
Thanks, Honorable Zangamandla. Thank you so much. The next speaker from the NFP, Honorable C.M. Shinga for 3 minutes. Then,
Sihlalo ongaphambili, amalunga ahloniphekile wonke. Sanibonani. The NFP understands that the E EPWP integrated grant allocation is performance-based. Department received 6.909 million in the 2023-2024 MTF with no allocation for the outer years as the department plans to create 414 work opportunities in 2023-2024 using this grant. We observe the need to increase the allocation on this grant to allow more work opportunities for our youth. The NFP is pleased to note that regulatory approvals for the automotive supplier park at Ilovo will be finalized in 2023-2024, and the development of and implementation of the automotive supplier park at the Durban Logistics Hub will also commence in the 2023-24. The supplier park is a strategic and imperative to reduce logistical costs and create an enabling environment. Honorable Speaker, the budget of the Program 2 over MTF provides for various projects such as women entrepreneurship, the BBBE outreach program, the implementation of Operation Vula Fund program, the SMME and cooperatives incubation project, the Black Industrialist program, the LED initiatives, and the UKZN regional and local economic development, which all are vital on the medium-term strategic framework priority 2 and MTSF priority 7, especially radical economic transformation, ngingasho ke yena u-RET, and job creation. Therefore, the budget cuts under these programs are hindering the quality service delivery in respect of the development of small businesses and social enterprises, and to promote and facilitate economic empowerment program. The concern is registered on the reduction of a budget on Program 6, tourism. In particular, the tourism industry has been severely impacted recently and is a crucial sector for the province. It cannot afford any additional budget cuts. Rather, more funding should be directed to this program in order to promote economic expansion. Ngiyabonga kakhulu, Sihlalo.
Thanks, Honorable Member. The next speaker is supposed to be Minority Front. They've apologized. She has apologized. And then the next member, following member, will be Honorable E.V. Dube, Bishop, for 10 minutes. Zawel.
Ndaba ezitha ngiyabonga kakhulu hlalo wami, ngiyabonga kakhulu, ngiyabingelela kuMthombeni, ngibingelela ku Premier wethu executive, ama members onke akhona ikakhulukazi eAfrican National Congress. Okungenza ngikwenze lokho ngoba ngimela ngenxa yeAfrican National Congress. Mhlawumbe ake ngiqale nginikhumbuze nje ukuthi njoba lekwi opposition inibhuduzela nibheke ku2024, angenikhumbuze ukuthi nizogcina ngakho into engeke ninuke. Yabona lezi inkulumo zenu ezenza ukuthi ningazi ukuthi umphakathi uyasizwa. Konke sikwenzayo nicalculate nina ngokuthi nibheke ku2024. Awukwazi ukufika ku2024 ungakazi wenze lutho ngo2023. Kuyacaca nokusobala ukuthi ukuphatha akuyona into enilungele. Kusazonithatha isikhathi. Into ekufanele ngabe niyayenza ukuhlala phansi nibheke ukusebenza kaKhongolose bese niyaziqeqesha ukuthi uma kwenzeka ngeminye iminyaka uKhongolose unicela ukuthi nizosiza ngapha niyokwenza lokho, hayi ukuthi niyothatha amandla kuKhongolose. Hlalo, let me appreciate once more. You know, once as an opposition like Honorable Depur, efika la, sometimes you must talk of the issues, one, that are in a budget. Ayukudwaba to speak about something evele ngqondweni yakho uhlanganisa ukhulume ngo-Ukraine egcine nasazi ukuthi ufuna ukuthini. So ngiyanixwayisa nje ukuthi ukuze nifike ku 2024 nizoba nenkinga uthi kufanele indlule la sikhona. One must appreciate this budget. It is very clear Mthombeni ukuthi ibudget yakho inomgomo obalulekile la ibheke khona. Uma sikhuluma ngalomnyango ikakhulukazi lo wezemvelo engicela ukuthi ngidlule kuwo ngithi chatha. Sikhuluma ngokuziqhayisa kwalesifundazwe. Sakithi sinomsebenzi wokugcina imvelo nomhlaba oyifagugu laphakade kwabohlanga. Uma umuntu esungeza amangelengele ezintaba, amadwala namawa, imfula namadlelo, izinyoni esibhakabhakeni nezilwane ezisesiqiwini okumele zivikele kwenza ucacela ukuthi lo mnyango ubaluleke kangakanani. The clear mandate of this department is direct, it's very direct. It is the management of nature conservation within our beloved province, to conserve the protected areas, to develop and promote ecotourism facilities within the protected areas, ensure proper, efficient, effective management of the conservation services. Uma lo mnyango ungehluleka ukulawula okobizo lwawo, kungadalela kube khona impi enkulu phakathi kwemvelo, ezilwane nalokho okudalwe uNkulunkulu nabantu uqobo lwabo. Kuke kuba zinegameko ezibikwe ngaphambilini la abakhelene neziqiwu bekhala esikanandi ngoba indawo lo esesiqiwini ibiphuma idwengule imfuyo yabo ihlasele nawo umphakathi imbala. Uma umphakathi uhlukumezeka ubuzama ukuzivikela lokho bese kubulala imvelo ngoba bebelwisana nezilwane ezilwa nemfuyo yabo. Siqaphela ke ngokucacile Mthombeni njengoba uke washo ukuthi lo mnyango uye wahlaseleka kakhulu esikhatheni esingaphambili isikhukhula, wahlaselwa impi eke yabakhona ngoJuly, kwaphinde kwaba isimo sezulu esenza ukuthi indawo eyisetshenziswa njengendawo egcina imvelo zihlukumezeke. Ikomiti like lahlala phansi layibheka enye ingqinamba nenkinga eyinselelo esibhekene nayo, like the crumbling infrastructure, the dwindling revenue, high vacancy rate, and the absence of the CEO. Ikomiti livumelene ngo-elethu ladluliswa izwi lokubonga nokujabula ngoba sekube nomnyakazo obalulekile wokuthi sibe neboard. Ngineqiniso lokuthi wonke umuntu uyazi ukuthi once wakhetha iboard usukukhetha umgogodla nento ezokwenza ukuthi leyo nto osukuyikhethele yona ibe ne turnaround. Siyalithemba kakhulu iboard lethu ngamava nohlobo lwabantu abakulona ukuthi bazokwenza uguquko olubonakalayo. The vision of the board will be translated into, not limited, the stabilized and functional executive. The history of acting in serious position has undoubtedly hampered the performance of this entity. We have not had a permanent CFO and CEO in the recent past. To put things into perspective, the last time this entity had a CEO was when it had Dr. Mabunda, who was appointed in 2015. Since his resignation, we have had 3 acting CEOs. This has compromised the ability of the executive leadership to develop a strategy that ensures progressive implementation and achievement on business plans. These challenges has indeed translated into other operations in this entity. The committee noted with concern the challengeability of the structure, where the organization moved between different organizational structures. We note that recently the entity resorted to the 2013 structure with plans to review. It is the same structure that consumed more than 75% of the entity budget, an issue that remains as a serious concern with the committee. Maybe one last thing that I need to mention. The presence of the board will assist us in ensuring that the entity iyakwazi ukuphendula isimo ibe self-sustainable. The entity relies heavily on ITIA. Our view is that the entity has the potential to self-sustain by raising sufficient income. This, however, depends on the quality of leadership and the management in the place. Ngesikhathi sinesigcawu zokulalela Mthombeni, kwacaca ukuthi endaweni la iziqiwi zakhele khona indawo zamakhosi ikhona inselelo kubantu abakhele lezo ndawo. Ingakho ngifisa ukuthi Mthombeni sibheke kakhulu indaba ye leadership kule entity ngoba iyona ezosenzela ukuthi kube nemphumela emihle ekukwazini ukusebenza namakhosi nabaholi bendabuko ngoba kwesisikhathi uma ngabe le entity ihluleka kuba nendawana exabanisayo. I must say ukuthi enye izinto ezarezwa kakhulu abantu emphakathini ikona ukuthi ezinye zeqiwu zabo oyodibhuru eziranwa abebala zinakho ungabahloniphi amakhosi nabantu abasuke bakhela indawo. Kuba khona ubandlululo ol experience wabantu endaweni yongangezwe lakhe la kukhona isiqiwi sisarandwa abantu bendawo kodwa abantu abasesiqiwini bangabi na indlela yokusebenzisana noma umnikazi wesiqiwi angabi nendlela yokusebenzisana nomphakathi. Siwu African National Congress siyakholelwa kakhulu ebuholini obuqinile ingakho siphawula futhi sibalula ukuthi ukusebenzisana namakhosi kulomnyango kuzoba into okumele sibeke eqhulwini. Kuyajabulisa ke ukuthi uma ngabe sibheka iKwaZulu Natal ngehlo olubheke ngalo Mthombeni kuzoba nemphumela emihle uma sibheka indlela obheke ngayo lomnyango nemfahlayana nemali engene khona esibonayo kuyabonakala ukuthi sisazokwazi ukugcina ifa elingumhlaba wethu. Sikhumbule ukuthi labo bantu abahlala kulezo ndawo ezakhele iqiwe ibona kanye abantu abavotela inhlangano kaKhongolose futhi abayithanda kusukela enhlizweni zabo. Ikakhulukazi ngoba abantu abakhele indawo zamakhosi sebenakho ukubona ukuthi inhlangano ebusayo African National Congress ayiyona lenhlangano eyabekwa amachaphazelo yabekwa njengenhlangano ebuzondayo ubuphathi nobukhosi bendabuko kodwa sisebenzisana ngezandla ezizombili sibambisene futhi sineqiniso ukuthi ngokusebenzisana sizoba nayo inqubela phambili. Siyabonga kakhulu njengo African National Congress siyayisupporta kakhulu le budget futhi sokwenza isiqiniseko sokuthi uma siwelela ngale ka 2024 sizokwenza okungcono kakhulu kunesikwenzile njengamanje njengoba eka wachaza umhlonisi uspeech ukuthi sisuka kude futhi sakude njengoKhongolose uyeza u2024 sizonenza njalo. Siyabonga.
Siyabonga Mhlonishwa Nzwakele. The next speaker from AGM. The next speaker from AGM, Honorable M.E. Phakathi, for 3 minutes. Mpangazithi omkhulu. Bishop wami.
Sihlalo siyabonga. Mhlonishwa Mthombeni, we want to appreciate the fact that CEOs of the entities are also here today so that we can be able to remind them who are we representing. We are representing those who are poor and marginalized. And who are those? Black people, abantu abamnyama that are poor and marginalized. So we should not be apologetic when we speak of township economy and rural economy. Lento ke Mthombeni akufuneka siyikwitize kufuna vele siyenze nje. Siyenze ngoba umnotho wabantu abamnyama wathathwa kubantu abamnyama ngenkani. Kodwa mase funa thina umnotho subuyisele kubantu abamnyama sefuna sikhuluma isingisi esikhulu, sikhuluma ingisi ezinkulu, kukhuluma ngama percentage amakhulu. Cha umnotho wabantu awubuyele ebantwini. Asikhumbuze ke Mthombeni ukuthi obaba bethu bagqilazwa. Bagqilazwa baholela imali ezincane bajika ongciwankulu bayithatha kubona imali bathi abathenge kubona. So we can never be apologetic about it. Umnotho wabantu awubuyele ebantwini. Mthombeni asivumelane ngento ethi umnotho owabantu abamnyama umnotho ngoba abantu abamnyama ibona abaningi kunalabo abakhona. Singacuphisana ke ngokuhlala kodwa umnotho wona awubuyele ebantwini. Angigcine ke Mthombeni ngokuthi we will make sure Mthombeni, as long as we are still here representing our people, we will make sure that our people abazogcina ukudla nje imvuthuluka ngaphansi kwetafula kodwa nabo bazozithola beparticipate kwi-mainstream economy. And siyafuna ke Mthombeni ukuthi lento nje ayiphume ingqondweni zabantu bakithi abamnyama ukuthi umuntu bekwaba isigwili kuthiwa utsotsi untshontshile. Nathi sesasajabula nje sazi ukuthi nje umuntu nje uma engabe enemali emnyama uyisigebengu utshotshile. And we can never appreciate that and ngesivume leyo nto. Asivumelane ngento ethi ke ukusukela la sibheka phambili iplan yakho siyayivuma siyi-ATM and sithi sizoyisupporta as long as i-department yakho izokwenza lokhu okubhalile. Siyabonga.
Siyabonga kakhulu mhlonishwa Mpangazitha. Order, honorable members. Let's proceed to the next speaker. Let's proceed to the next speaker, Honorable S.A. Mangaile from ACDP. Mfundisi, uyazi umkhulu.
Hallelujah. Makakula, it is a good and well to have a trade agreement in place to facilitate and bolster the trade across the continent. As have been said, in Africa we have been related to be a consuming continent, though we are rich in minerals, precious metal, precious stones, and other raw materials. But what is worrying me, Makakula, is the issue of inflation. You know, long ago, a family of 4, poor family could buy groceries of 500 rand, share and make a living out of it. Now, if you look at the situation, say erosion yenzakalayo, awusakwazi ukwenza lokho ke. Kade ngibuka ukuthi iAquil 1.5 liter u11 rand kwenye indawo. Kodwa uma uthi uyawuthenga kwenye indawo u20 rand. Ngibuka Makakula ukuthi mhlambe out of order. Kodwa bengifisa sengathi ngabe idepartment yakho iyangenelela kuloko. Ngoba kukhona ukuabuzwa kwethu njengomphakathi la. Ngibukelela Makakula ukuthi kuyoze kube nini ukuthi uma sithenga umuzi nemoto nawo yonke lento uyikhokhele imali yemoto isiphindwe kathathu. Kuze kube nini ubani osiprotectayo. Lento yayenzeka ngesikhathi sobandlululo namanje yaqhubeka kuthule nje ngathi izinto zinormal. Kade ngibuka Makakula ukuthi singenze njani usazi uyicebulela umkhomo nje. Usazi akho umuntu okembonise uma esethi uthatha imali uyayithatha nje ngale ukuthi ucorrect noma wrong noma uyaboniswa noma kwenziwa njani. Konke lokho mhlonishwa kushaya umnotho wezwe lethu. Angazi singenze njani Mthombeni, ngizocela iseluleko lapho njengomuntu osiphathela umnotho walelizwe. God bless you. ACDP accept your budget.
Siyabonga kakhulu mfundisi. Thank you so much. Now we'll call the next speaker from DA, Honorable H.U. De Boer for 6 minutes again.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. God loves you. At least you have that. Let's start off on a high note. The DA remains proud of its participation in booting the ANC mayor and executive out of office in Richards Bay. Here at least the DA-IFP friendship is starting to dismantle the rot of ANC leadership and instill normality in this port city. If I were an ANC politician, the election prospects of 2024 would certainly make me nervous, particularly as both the SACP and COSATU have again made rumblings about the teetering economy and how its alliance partner, the ANC, has been unable to drag its citizens out of poverty and unemployment. In addressing the critical numbers of Etia and its budget, it's clear the Ezemvelo budget remains unsustainable. Unable to fill critical vacancies or employ all the trained field rangers, our province has become the slaughterhouse. 244 rhinos, scores of elephant and other animals. They've all been killed. The entity's long-awaited conservation bill has yet to be tabled, and the rationalization legislation has seemingly also disappeared into a pothole. Maybe it's where the MEC's car ended up. Commercialization probably also won't happen until the right comrade is lined up to take the contract. This massive entity that eats almost 1 billion rand of our provincial budget has consistently run circles around the committee. If they are to be believed, that's Ezemvelo, they are a paragon of financial sustainability and conservation. Yet quite the opposite is true. The Conservation Committee's commendable efforts to steer and guide this beleaguered entity have been met with sheer disrespect from Ezemvelo. The forensic investigation into the former board also rests in the same pothole where the MEC cars was, and the current board seems as bland as Logie Nadu's comedy. There certainly is no good story to tell here. Now, earlier on there was quite a bit of comment from the ANC benches about the issues that need to be raised at this particular budget debate. Hello, Honourable Premier. So let's raise some of those issues. Some of the statements that have come from the ANC are, we have done a lot.
Okay. There is a point of order. Order, honourable members. Order, honourable members.
Thank you.
Let us listen to the point of
Chair,
order.
I rise on the point of order.
Yes.
52A. The honourable member keeps mentioning, in joking and in passing, about an accident that was a serious case for Mampegi. Honourable Mampegi was in a car accident. It's not a joke, it's not politics. And I therefore call for a point of order.
Okay. Honourable member, do you want to withdraw that statement? Can you withdraw the statement?
Honourable Speaker, I will... Just let the House settle.
Order. Order, members. Is it an order? Is there a point of order, Honourable Clerk?
Honourable Chairperson, I withdraw the statement about the potholes. I wish
Thank
that
you.
the pothole would
You
be
can
filled,
continue.
however. Let's raise some of the issues. So, we have said the ANC, let's not say we, the ANC has said that they have done a lot. Well, yes, certainly there's a lot being done at Eskom, where the entire infrastructure of that whole entity has been pulled out and stolen out from underneath it. There's criminal syndicates that operate there, and it's the ANC who's to blame for it. Then we heard about the former late Chris Hani, and maybe there'll be a point of order again about this. And you know what I think? I think if Mr. Hani was still alive, he would chastise the ANC for its poor service delivery and for its failing of upholding the poor, in the same way that the former President Mbeki chastised the ANC. Right. Then we heard about the road to renewal. Well, this road is very long because it's been carrying on for 25 years of ANC rule. So it's obviously a road, but there's no pothole, so please don't call a point of order. But this road to renewal is apparently continuing for the next 25 years if we don't get rid of the ANC. Then we are recovering lost ground. From what? The floods, that there was never a contingency plan? From COVID, that you use as a continual excuse for your poor fiscal management? Let's go on. We speak about the borders. There's another issue the Honorable Premier spoke about. The borders have been porous since the 70s, and they are still porous. We have a massive foot and mouth outbreak because the borders are porous. The ANC wants to build a wall and wants to claim victory for a concrete wall. My goodness me, is that...
Order. Yes, honourable member. You are rising with the point of order.
Chair, I rise on
I can hear.
Rule 57D.
Okay, please.
Yeah, bengifuna ukuthi kubuza umhlonishwa ngawuthatha umbuzo ukuthi ukuthi uyazi ukuthi umholi uChristian wabulawa abelungu.
Okay.
You would like me to
Can you,
about Chris
do you want to do this? Yes, sir.
I'll need a translation.
Okay. You can continue.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. No, it's been ruled upon, Honourable Member. Thank you. In terms of borders, in the year of 2023, the ANC boasts about some kind of cement or concrete fence that you're going to build at the border. Wow, that really is fourth industrial revolution stuff there. I mean, that's high technology. I mean, I just can't wrap my head around how far the ANC has come in 25 years after it's glorious liberation struggle. It blows my mind. In terms of investment, apparently, KwaZulu-Natal is again, and I use this word because it's such a nice word, the paragon of investment. I don't see it that way. There's far more investment going to the Western Cape because there's good governance in the Western Cape. And the investment that there is happening here has been threatened. It was threatened after the ANC-led insurrection, and companies have told you, and it's the truth, and I will not withdraw it, that one more instance, and they will withdraw. It is true. In terms of the ports, my friends, apparently my friends have received financial support from investors. Well, perhaps the next time I come debate, I will bring documentary evidence of which political party has benefited from certain companies who have invested in KwaZulu-Natal. I'll bring the documents here, and then we will see which that was. The ports. In terms of the ports, there has been a failure of critical and epic proportions in government's ability to manage ports. Ships are simply sailing past Durban. They are going to Cape Town. They're going to Mozambique, and they are going to... I wish for a lot of things. One of the things I wish for most is that you, yourselves, honourable members, as ANC members, will swap it over and you sit on those benches come 2024. Nkosi Sikelel' Africa. Thank you.
The time is over. Thanks, honourable member. The next speaker from the IFP, Honourable Motley, for 5 minutes. Honourable Motley. Oh.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, colleagues, members of the Executive, Honorable Chairperson, before I commence with my speech, I would like to place on record the IFP's serious concerns over the dilapidating state of some of the towns that are full of filth, such as Pietermaritzburg and eThekwini. Here in PMB, if we drive along Pietermaritzburg Street, next to Boxer Superstore and Imbali Taxi Rank, you are welcomed by filth and stench of urine and uncollected garbage. The ANC-led municipalities, Msunduzi and eThekwini, have failed dismally to keep the towns clean. This is a cause for concern, and it affects the environment and contributes to diseases. The eThekwini municipality has failed to deal with the alarming sewage crisis which has been flowing to the beaches. This has been attested by the KZN Department of Economic Development that even before 2022 April floods, It had on numerous occasions engaged with the eThekwini municipality in order for it to attend to its sewage water treatment infrastructure, but due to the laissez-faire attitude of the ANC mayor in eThekwini, these concerns were not addressed. The ANC is failing the people. We urge the ANC to go out and clean these filthy towns if they are truly serious about maintaining a sense of cleanliness. In dealing with air pollution, we note that the department is currently developing an air quality management plan, and it is anticipated that strategies will be developed to manage potential air pollution from the N2 development corridor and the RBIDZ. District municipalities will be assisted to develop their own AQMPS. What concerns us most is that there was no clear time frame provided as to when these plans will be finalized. We cannot wait any longer, as these are affecting by air pollution which emanates from companies on a daily basis. Time for complacency is over. Further, the IFP is concerned over the wild animals that escaped from the Shushului in Folosi Park. Last year, the MEC for KwaZulu-Natal Economic Development, Tourism and Environment Affairs, MEC Duma, promised that this issue will be dealt with accordingly. We are not happy with the Zambelo KZN wildlife, which has failed to protect communities who are residing adjacent to the reserve against escaping dangerous wildlife animals. It is also concerning that Zambelo KZN wildlife has not provided any clear time frame on when it will finalize its policy and action plan to deal with human-wildlife conflict. The IFP notes that people have been injured and their livestock have been killed by roaming animals, having escaped from the Shushului in Folosi Park and other reserves. These individuals must be compensated. The Zambelo KZN wildlife must ensure that the fence around the park is functional at all times. This is a matter of life and death. The filth of the beaches is not only an eyesore, it is also causing the destruction of marine life. Industrial waste, garbage, and other remains of used commodities have been dumped in rivers and oceans, causing contamination of water. The IFP calls for stiff penalties to be meted out to companies found to be polluting water and air. Further, the IFP is concerned about illegal dumping. This kind of illegal dumping has seen a constant problem in our society. Enough is enough. Illegal dumping is a huge societal ill that we need to be more responsible about. The role and participation of the public is important to the success of any endeavor, especially municipal solid waste management that affects the environment, economy, and human health. We call for public awareness campaigns on the negative impact of improper waste disposal. We demand that stiff penalties must be meted out to anyone found to be involved in illegal dumping. Having raised these concerns, the IFP supports the budget. I thank you.
Thanks, Honorable Mutlu. The last speaker from the African National Congress is Honorable Spidla. Dlangamandla.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members. Sihlalo nginenkinkanyana encane yokuqala ngale debate yami. Inkinga yami iqala ngokuthi we have dishonest members, especially the ones that spoke before me, the last two speakers. Honorable Debor is aware of the progress on the rationalization. The HOD of the department in our last meeting reported about this, and we all accepted the progress. But Honorable Debor comes here today and say that program has disappeared. That's why I'm saying you are being dishonest to the House and to the people of KwaZulu-Natal. Honorable Dupur is talking about the lack of service delivery in some areas in KwaZulu-Natal. And he made mention of the potholes. This is not a new matter, Honorable Dupur. The department and the provincial government led by the ANC, they have accepted that there are challenges in some of the programs that we're implementing. And the MEC of the department last year in this house presented a plan on how to correct these challenges or the problems in our roads. Hence, they started a program, Eti Siyazenzela. We see the yellow fleet, Lima province, in Kuma regions, zonke indawo esihamba kuyo, kulungiswa lama potholes. Today you come here and pretend as if this government is not doing anything. We have accepted ourselves, so we do not need to be reminded by you. If you think that you can do better, please start in Khayelitsha in Cape Town. Let's see you going to Khayelitsha in Cape Town and resolving service delivery issues there. Lapho we will take you serious, masukubona wenza lezo zinto.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members.
And I want to advise you, Honorable Dupur, because I've seen that you are good in this skill or in this area. If you don't come back next year, please consider registering for a drama course, because we are good. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chairperson, members of the Executive Council, invited guests and those joining us from various social media platforms. Honorable Speaker, it is an honor for me to stand before this august house and the people of our beautiful province to participate in this debate. Honorable Speaker, Program 7 received an increase of 3.8% from the previous budget. Most evident increase is on environmental quality management, which also records an increase from 31.4 million to 37.8 million. The greenest municipality competition also records 30.9% increase from 1.7 to 3.5 million. Honorable Chairperson, we believe that this injection will go a long way in mitigating the impact of climate change in our province. Chairperson, climate change affects biodiversity and infrastructure in many ways. A major impact of climate change on biodiversity is the increase in the intensity of frequency of fires, storms, and climate-induced drought. Just like the devastating floods that we experienced last year, which resulted in a massive damage to our infrastructure, causing sewage overflows into rivers and ultimately into the ocean, thus affecting a lot of flora and fauna. Climate change-induced drought can equally be or can have equally devastating effects on biodiversity, resulting in the loss of aquatic species if freshwater resources which support this biodiversity run dry. Wetlands can be lost, and changes in temperature regimes also result in either species migration or possibly extinction in certain parts of the world. A common example of this is the melting ice caps in the poles, which are displacing the polar bears due to the decrease in their natural habitat. Whilst there is a lot that still needs to be done by our province to mitigate the impact of climate change on biodiversity, it is pleasing to note that the ANC government has developed a comprehensive strategy to address and alleviate the impact of climate change on biodiversity. The strategy includes some of the following interventions. 1, development of provincial invasive alien species and bush encroachment management strategy. 2, support innovative approaches to diversify water supply options. 3, establish a provincial dam and reservoir maintenance program, and adopt bylaws on storm water management. Honorable Chairperson, because of time limitations, my time was eaten by the bull. I will skip some of the issues that I wanted to raise. But to say, Honorable Speaker, some of the disasters that we are experiencing can be avoided. For example, through maintenance of storm water drainage systems. We've seen what this area has done in it. On the same wavelength, Honorable Chairperson, properly constructed and climate resilient infrastructure such as roads will last longer in the face of climate change, whereas poorly constructed roads, for example, esiwabonileyo kwiindawo eziningi, will be easily eroded when we experience heavy rainfalls in our province. Honorable Chairperson, the other thing that was raised by our communities, Honorable Mtombeni, is that the department must look into ensuring that our cell phone towers are supported by generators, so that when we experience the power cuts because of climate change, communication is restored quickly in those areas without any delay. Civil society, Honorable Mtombeni, civil society organizations, we think as the African National Congress have a huge role to play in this space. For example, on this issue of climate change, we believe that they can play a role in ensuring that our communities are properly educated about the impact of climate change, and we raise awareness across all sectors. Government can also partner with the private sector to restore and rehabilitate the province's ecological assets like wetlands, rivers, natural forests, grasslands, and so on, all of which are important in providing ecosystem goods and services and reducing the impacts of climate change. The Wildlife Fund for Nature, for example, is already working in a number of areas around the province alongside with SMVelo KZN Wildlife, an entity of government, to promote biodiversity stewardship outside the formally protected areas in KwaZulu-Natal. This is an example of a successful partnership between an entity of government and civil society organization. Honorable Chairperson, maintaining biodiversity in a healthy state and building climate resilient infrastructure will help provide for the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Now we'll get the response by the MEC for Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Baba Mtombeni, for 20 minutes.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair, once again for affording us this opportunity. Let me start now by thanking the role that has been played by board chairs. Chair Umahlobo, Ikotev, Dlugula, thank you so much for your diligence, courageous and candid engagement each time we meet as a portfolio committee. I would also want to thank the chair who deals with tourism, Baba Umshengu, and environment. Thank you so much as well, Honorable Chair, for ensuring that each time we engage frankly and robustly. I think your role has been played. I just want to thank almost all the members, board committees. They've been keeping us, ensuring that we follow all the procedural matters. I think I just wanted to highlight that, but the reality is that some only deserve the collective commendable because individually they belong to a museum of shame, and I'm going to enter into the frame. But collectively, we could thank them. It's allowed just to thank them at a spirit of being collective. And they started opening the debate, both the chair presenting the reports, which is adopted at the same time, even by the House and the ATR. Honorable Governor spoke advancing that where are we, IFP is so advanced when it comes to technology. I'm sure are supposed to expand. We're not referring to witchcraft technology. We were referring to a digital innovation, not a type of technology where you take off your clothes inside the gallery. We are referring to proper technology. We are currently in a fourth industrial revolution. That's a type and other dimensions of manufacturing and producing new things, like the reliance on drones, like the utilization of IP, HDs and all that. That's the type of technology we are referring to. He also, Chair, spoke about something fundamental where we are here, is saying that as this government, sometimes he feels that we are too extravagant and not realistic. And we are sorry, but we are not sorry that we are ideologues at the same time as revolutionaries. We didn't know that in IFP, even to dream, you are not allowed. We are allowed. As an idealistic organization, we must dream. We must dream big in the real world. And I'm sure we also understand that we live in a global village where we ought to think bigger. Some of the things will be abstract, high proposition. They must not be understood by a shallow understanding. I understand. But the reality is that over the last few days in the investment conference, I'm sure we must note this, Gauteng benefited more in the investment conference, followed by Limpopo because of mines, followed by Northwest Province. That KZN was number 4. Western Cape was number 7 in terms of what transpired in the investment conference. And unfortunately, Utipura will never qualify even to live in a local economic development summit. He has not advanced toward that level, but we'll deal with such matters. Honorable Governor, we have dealt with the issue of KwaDukuza private hospital. The growth fund currently is dealing with that matter. The matter is in court. I'm sure we're all shocked that probably it's 10 to 6. Listening to a surname, Dipur, is like a dream on its own. Imagine by being addressed by Dipur, that surname. I'm sure you are all aware that's the remembrance, which is not good. It's a remnant of apartheid regime, is what transpired. He oozes think apartheid whenever he talks. And I'm afraid, Chair, I must say, because this is not even on a lighter note, the system, the pedagogy of the oppressed taught us there was something special about those who have a less melanin, the white. It was like they are groomed differently, they are sharp, they are stronger. Little did we know that there will be a time where there will be our peers, where we'll engage and encroach with them and we do peer review. I'm here to come across with those who are very advanced. I'm sure you know the Joe Slovos of this world who can write. Utipura, I doubt very much that he could pass a grade 8 mathematics test. Here, we can challenge him. We don't have a problem. We can start and write any test so that we could because he was advancing a lot of common factors, and he was debating using common practice of understanding. I'm sure you know, Honorable Leader Babu Rogers, that common sense is the lowest form of thinking. So it's better that you do the research each time when you debate. And it's a pity this House, we've got an audacity of quoting someone who has regarded honorable members as frog. And we thought that it is not myopic. We thought that it is not absurd. We thought that it would be palatable. And we were shocked that is unquote. And your address was so condescending. It is like you are undermining everything that is black. We had, even at the end, when you say that you've been protected by God, so unfortunately, the type of God that was elevated and taken into Africa for oppression the special type of God, not the God who thinks people are equal. And you've been saying some of these things, and we are watching you. Unfortunately, you are an honorable member. You are very dishonorable. We can't have to say that. Unfortunately, you are in this house. We have to respond to your shallow understanding. And when you think about the system, you are elevating capitalism, which deals and always deal with slavery. You still see people as slaves these days. And nevertheless, we must deal with those matters because well, we never thought that you'll even fail to comprehend that symbol of lion. In Africa, in South Africa, lion as part of the Big Five symbolize power. It is what nature. Please maintain the time, Chair.
We are protected, Chair. Whip from the IFP. They are not here. Deal with your people. Continue.
Honorable Chair, I'm sure at the right time we must deal with that racist boy called Papas. There will come a time that small boy, he thinks is very special. Even if it means that you think less of people, you can't, in the 21st century, still regard them as frog. Rogers, I thought you'll be ashamed yourself. Even if it means that you lead that racist. We saw your John Steenhuisen as a standard 10 failure, thinking he could lead South Africa. That's how you are wired, thinking that because you are the system of oppression, you could do anything, Democratic Party. So those are the things that we must deal. But I must also say, Honorable Chair, that the thinking of De Boer is so chauvinistic. How he thinks, how he addresses people, his posture borders so much on chauvinism. He is racist, that is given. Because he thinks so lower of Africans. He thinks they don't deserve to be given a platform of economic transformation. Ideological, I wonder, Honorable Msimango, how are you going to form collusion with this racist organization? We are so disturbed by your posture, but it means that you still have that lineage. Thank you, Honorable Tolo, for educating the honorable members. That's what is expected out of this house. Another thing of maintaining a decorum is imparting knowledge. Your wisdom augurs well with us. The aura of understanding economy and the epitome of coming with a galvanized strategy of empowering women, of coming with a sustainable strategy of cooperatives, of ensuring that we must also maintain the issue of maritime as an industry. We must not be scared or be fearful when it comes to those issues. We are taking that, and it's true, Honorable Tolo, that unfortunately what also apartheid did to us, in 1991, they sold the last vessel to the Lords of England. We don't have a ship as a country, which is why currently we are building a maritime university that is going to service the entire Africa. We are going to build ships. We want to retain our hegemony as a country. We've spoken about Rotterdam and Singapore. If we want to compete and contest on ensuring that Richards Bay and Durban becomes a harbor, is something is very critical. I don't expect that, Chair, you'll allow the DA to be laughing while we're debating, because we gave them space. Even what you think about us, but we must also understand that there's nothing special about you. You stole our land, but we were able to understand that even in our constitution, we wrote something fundamental that says that you are part and parcel of the system. You don't deserve to be sharing the platform with us. You are not human enough because you always think that there's something special about you. There's nothing special about you. Honorable Phakathi, we agree that the issue of economic transformation in our lifetime is something that should be achieved. It will take a very radical, strong voice to ensure, because the reality is that We are the ruling party, which is not a ruling class. Ruling class thinks otherwise. Ruling class thinks that they must always hawk the fast lane. And we have realized that it won't be kind to be taking the economy. That is why policies like BEE, we must be stronger when it comes to them. When it comes to our people, when they have been given a platform, Honorable Premier, let us empower our people. And we must be saying that categorical, we must equip our people with all the platforms that they deserve. Yes, we must be waiting to be hailed and insult from the opposition. Because when you empower African, you must be insulted. There must be a condescending voice. There was never a thing that will shift from that position. We must implement. In fact, this 147 billion that has been appropriated in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, we dare to say that the large chunk should go towards our people, Africans in particular, so that we are clinical in the process. And because we are the correct posture to deal with issue of corruption, we must not listen to those who are racist in their nature. They are not going to offer anything. Babu Motli, I thought you'll do your research. We visited Ihluhluwe in Mfolozi Park. Just go and do a proper flashback. How many people have complained of roaring lions, of roaming lions, or elephant crossing our fence? Why you don't hear that anymore? We've employed youth to a tune of almost 200 and something in that area. They are monitoring the fence while we are busy with the proper fence. So it is not true that nothing has been done. It is not a coincidence that the issue of encroachment is no longer happening. It is deliberate, designed, just to make sure that it does not happen. And we are going to improve. We've met the minister as well who's going to assist in some of those matters. Babu Mangele, it's true, and ideologically, we are impressed and inspired by your understanding that we've been defined as a consuming nation in our beautiful land. I'm sure you heard the beautiful story of Botswana these days. The president is saying that DBS came into this country. There was an issue that there was no equipment, there was no skills transfer. At that particular time, it was correct. Initially, we started the process as a country of sending engineers to universities. Currently, they have got almost all the ammunition of matching par for par in terms of being involved in the entire value chain. In the issue of extraction, in the diamond sector, they are allowed these days, they are involved. What happens in terms of the policy, import and export? Currently, Botswana is equal to the task, is equivalent to be sending people offshore they have learned. So they are saying that now it is a time that for you, DBS, to continue to trade with us, we deserve more than 51%. It's something that we should start in South Africa. I'm sure the white who are racist, who are regarded as have, are slowly thinking that Umadiba's time came and we have not transformed enough. And we are not going to wait for the revolution to come and take over the land. ANC liberated this country. We will continue and implement it to the T, the transformation charter, which must liberate our people. I think that's what we must say about Mangele. And it's true. Go to Germany, for instance, and take their posture. In Germany, when you buy a vehicle, for instance, it's 100,000, then the insurance is probably 550. Each time when the issue of that car passes some years, the insurance goes down. In South Africa, it's bad. You buy a vehicle, you pay an insurance probably 2,000 in the first year. It will accumulate even the vehicle as it gets so old. I think those are the issues that we must do. We must deal with those things. You spoke about the issue of inflation rate, which is always contradicting of what is currently happening. We must do. It's the same. What we have not raised is that we don't understand a bond, a house that is 3 million is payable in some instances within a range of 20 years. And a vehicle that is 3 million is payable within 5 years. Why are we not dealing with the ownership pattern by designing a new methodology? Why? It's easy for a car because it loses value instantly, 13% from the garage even when it's new, but the house accumulates value. So it means the system doesn't want to see a lot of us owning the house because 20-year pattern is not a time that we'll have a proper ownership. I'm sure we are there, and as part of Catalytic Project, we are saying that we are creating a synergy where our people will be participating in the ownership. That is why you'll find in the SOPA, that is why you'll find in the 8-year budget, that is why you'll find in other MECs, they will be highlighting mostly on the new intervention strategy of creating a material and a conducive environment of us developing more entrepreneurs, because our market is not solely based on us sending our people for employment. We must also create employment. By digital innovations, we spoke about Moses Kotane. We want to create more entrepreneurs in township, in rural areas. So this government is doing that. We have spoken as well that as government, it is always critical that let us support the business that are also supporting us. Take Tota, for instance. During floods, they suffered so drastically with the monies of this world. They made sure that they didn't chase anyone who was part of their employment. We must incentivize them by saying that from now onwards, all our government must concentrate on buying more Toyota vehicles because their 4x4s are stronger, they are very adaptable, instead of assisting Germans that are not assisting even our initiatives. We are the government that must be transformational. It's petty at this point in time, Honorable Chairperson, that I will want that when we debate with issue of international relation, it will be difficult that you debate Russia, Ukraine matter with Dipur. He does not seem to understand anything that has to do with international relation. But for the record, as we speak, EDA is in bed with Israel. For years, they've been killing innocent people. Russia is our natural ally. They assisted us during when you were oppressing us as apartheid. That is why we will continue having a proper relationship. You are scared because we are part of BRICS. We are not going to compromise. By the way, these days, I'm sure you must also understand that your enemy is not our enemy. So if you happen to have a nice relationship with Israel, it is your relationship. If you love Americans, it is your relationship. We will continue to service those who assisted us during apartheid when we had no resources. We are not apologetic, and we have formulated BRICS Bank that is currently assisting our people. And it will create a system of ensuring that we assist a lot of our people. Siyabonga kakhulu ke sihlalo ngokuthi usuku lanamhlanje lube impumelelo. Sicela uya kusikhonkotha Dipur. Siyabonga kakhulu usuku libe impumelelo. Kubalekile ke ukuthi abahlonishwa uma sihlangene kanje umnotho uyisekelo sethu nje beshila umhlonishwa uDube. Siyabonga nizwakele ngokusikhumbuza ngemvelaphi yethu nangefagugu lethu. Soqhubeka silondoloze ukuthi abantwana bethu nezizukulwane ezilandelayo zikwazi ukuthi ziqhubeke zisebenzise amathuba ezowakha lo hulumeni wabantu uvotelwe abantu. Abantu bayaqhubeka bayawuthemba maningi amathuba namaxhama okuxhumana esiwazamayo ukuthi asebenzele abantu bakithi. Siyabonga kakhulu sihlalo osiphathele umhlangano.
Thanks, honorable members. Order. Order, members. Thank you, honorable members. We've come to an end of the debate on vote for today. Let me take this opportunity and thank the head of departments who are present, members of the media, and also the officials present. I've got two announcements. The first one, we are requesting the members to bring along their disclosure forms tomorrow, or if they don't have it, they will receive it here tomorrow. And also, we're proceeding with our debates, budget debates tomorrow in two different venues. That has been mentioned, and also the links has also been emailed to you so that you can attend to those debates. For today, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.